Definitely not breach on Ascent. Not sure why I just saw that, but I'm just kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke. Please don't hate me, Guild.
David Dennis is a moron. I think that's clear. He used in-game chat, which not only has chat logs if he didn't do all chat, but also, you know, you might do all chat by the man is he's got a donut for a brain.
I don't know. Mimi is so wholesome. Like, I just put a smile on my face whenever I see her. If I ever bootcamp in EU, Mimi, if you're watching this, we gotta hit up the duos. Like, hit me up.
Those are tier 1 teams, man. We have those in Europe. It's gonna be pretty good.
I think they have them in LATAM as well. So you can watch some LATAM if you want to see some good Valorant.
Oh man, what a week it has been, everybody. We're back in the swing of things now as North America has their closed qualifier for VCT Challengers locked in. There's many more to discuss this week. What you got there, Van Sussy? What is that? Is that ice cream?
No, it's a chicken noodle soup.
Why are you using a knife?
But, I was too lazy to get the spoon in the bag. But at the same time, it's kind of like just eating because okay, look. You guys know me about my weird eating habits, right? When it comes to like these soups, I always drink the cup first. So I drink the soup. And then all the fillings in the end, or all the noodles in the end. So I just scoop it and eat it.
I mean, that's by far the least egregious of your eating habits, Vans, but that doesn't explain why you're eating noodles with a fucking knife.
It's like chopsticks and rice, dude. Same thing, man.
You have one knife, not two. If you had two knives, I'd at least say that's reasonable.
It's thick.
Okay, man, whatever. Mitch, what's going on? You are, mate, I mean, today's a day for strange eating habits because you're straight up eating something just before that you're fucking allergic to. You're sitting there like, nah, my throat's moderately closing up right now, but this is fucking delicious.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's just a little itch, you know, little itch. I grew up with a lot of allergies as a kid. I had a little bit of food allergy. I don't even know what it is, you know. It's just this beautiful dish, something in it disagrees with my body, but it tastes fucking good.
I mean,
every now and then you got to bite the bullet.
Are you sure you're not an NA Valorant org? Because you are the king of self-sabotage, mate. Unreal.
Oh, no, I think, look, it hasn't killed me so far. It hasn't come close, so we'll see. We'll keep, look, I'm on camera for the next few hours, so if anything bad happens, we're good. You guys got my back.
I'm the one that said that pre-show, dude. My stomach hurts right now.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, we know all the expertise is right fucking here, boys. Yeah, don't worry about it.
You got this. You got
She's
this.
a brick. All right. We're going to try and move through the pre-show pretty quickly because one of our first guests has a bit of a time limit. Let's dive into what we should expect to talk about today, because obviously we've had a few tournaments going on. In Europe, it's been Game Changers. That's been popping off as well. The competition over there seems fierce. I can imagine that, you know, North American Game Changers players are looking at this like, hello, when are we fucking starting? What's going on? Been a pleasure to watch that overseas. We're also going to retouch. I think we need to probably retouch on some of the stuff we talked about last week. What constitutes cheating? Riot, Nerd Street weighing in on what constitutes cheating in this weird online landscape of play that we have to navigate. We put Movistar Riders logo up there because that's relevant to the discussion. Rules unclear is a pretty decent way of summarizing it. And then, of course, we'll talk about VCT NA because our last 4 teams have made it to the closed qualifier with some really interesting, I guess, representation there. So we'll talk about that. Some very interesting results out of the North American region. But let's fucking crack into this. Let's bring on our first 2 guests for the show. Extremely well qualified, I think, to speak to this particular topic. One of them, of course, is one of the commentators who was working on Game Changers EU is Tombizz. And, of course, we're going to be joined by Mel, who I'm sure has been watching that like a hawk. So let's start with you, Tombizz. Good to have you on the show, mate. Welcome back.
I was about to say, I like how the choices are like, what, 3-time champion and some guy who sat there and watched. Like, it seems like you've got a good balance there of knowledge of who's coming in for this one. Yeah, I enjoy Game Changers a lot. Should we give it over to the pro?
Yeah, let's do that. How you doing, man? Welcome back.
You got to give yourself some more credit. But honestly, you guys are, at least Tom especially, you probably had to give me heads up or the sitch on what exactly happened, because I actually have been trying to balance watching EMEA Game Changers with also NA VCT that happened this weekend. I think I spent total, I streamed about like 14 hours watching all the games. So I'm pretty, my brain's all over the place. Yep. You'll have to remind me of a few things for sure.
Cool. That's fine. I think getting your take, at least on how some of these teams are shaping up in lieu of or a lack of international competition. Yeah, definitely love to get your opinion. So let's start off with we'll start from the top. Okay. G2 Gozen once again are the champions of Game Changers here. There's a back-to-back championship there. having a look at this bracket, again, it's a lot of those usual suspects. Mitch, I guess, when you're coming into casting this, does this play out the way you expect it to? Any sort of names there that maybe don't expect to see getting as far through? Because I can definitely recognize a few of these rapidly becoming household names in the scene.
Yeah, look, I think when you look at these guys like G2, Guild, TENSTAR, like we are massively impressed by these teams every single season, with the exception of like a hiccup game here or there. They are just immensely consistent. Oxygen as well, getting the kind of tough draw in the fact that they had to come up against TENSTAR to make it a little further. Rix as well against Guild. These are all top teams. I think the one that most people were surprised by was noOrg getting through. But even then, we'd seen them consistently in the scene before that as Esmaricus. I'm not sure exactly how that one's
It's like
pronounced.
Esmara CIS or something like that.
Esmara
Oh, yeah.
They're a Russian team, but 2 of their players got picked up when they got dropped. So the fact that they managed to rebuild it and still come back as like, again, a very strong competitor, I'm almost just sat here like a team's just finished top 4 and they don't have an org. It's kind of mad.
Yeah.
So,
I was
especially
also,
one of the.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you fine, Mel.
I was gonna say that is actually something I definitely noticed when I was looking at the bracket and looking at the teams, is how far an unsigned team went in EMEA Game Changers. They pretty much got like a top 4 finish, right? I'm not mistaken. They
2
got
of
upper
them
finals
did.
and
One finished top 6 as well, untapped.
Untapped, yeah.
So I was wondering, and obviously you probably know better because you watched a lot of the games, does that really speak to the strength of EMEA as a region for Game Changers? Does that speak to the weakness of the signed teams? I don't know. I can't really say one way or the other. Or both.
I'd put it as a mixture of both. Like, I think there's a couple of signed teams that I don't really rate that highly. Like, I think some going out incredibly early as well that we don't even know too much about. I also think that the unsigned teams are almost, it looks weirder than it is. Like, you've got players like Anya, who is previously part of the G2 roster, who is incredible, one of the best Jets we've ever seen, who's playing on Untapped. So you're kind of sat there going, yeah, that's an unsigned org, when in reality, it's possible they've already got some sort of signing, or they will likely very quickly be picked up. It was just that I think a lot of the players were dropped out just before the event, so they decided to sign up. But the thing that was impressive with Untapped in particular was they came together as a group, I think 4 days before the event.
Oh, wow.
And you look at some of these like delaying techniques that they're using here to just slow down and have all this utility. Like, I was expecting it to be like, oh, Anyu's going to get a load of kills, run in, do some damage. Maybe they'll get a little bit into the tournament. Instead, they were actually having some really nice defensive setups. And I was like, oh, this team has had no practice and it's still better than, well, I think there was 80 teams. So 74 of the other teams, which is absurd.
Oh, that's crazy.
Just watching this as well, it's so funny, mate. Maybe that's like instinctive, because I imagine putting together set plays in 4 days is very hard to do for a very high number of maps, or at least the calling structure seems to be pretty robust here. Kind of wild.
I think it definitely speaks to like the talent of those players as well. I personally, I played in like a open tournament the other day with like pretty much like a mixed roster of like TSM FTX Academy and VCS. If you don't know what VCS is, it's like a meme tournament. It's like $1,000 a week tournament just for fun, pretty much. But a lot of pros will make it like a fun joke to go and play and win and so on and so forth. But you'd be actually surprised if you get the same people in the right roles that already play the game or have had experience playing at a high level in pro play. You'd be surprised at how much they can do as an unsigned team, because everything kind of just clicks and you know these plays and you're doing with like just pretty much different people. But if everyone's on the same page and they all have the experience, and in this case, if you're an unsigned team, you have the drive to, you have nothing to lose. You'd be surprised at how far these teams can really go.
Do you think, here's a question, do you think that emerges more on maps like Icebox and Split, where like the approach is a little bit more standardized at the moment? Like there's maybe a little less wriggle room, especially on Icebox, right? With how sort of cemented the post-plant meta is. Is it easy for like a pug team to come together and just like have solid protocols for that map, because there theoretically aren't that many?
I could see that making sense on Split. I think it also depends on like the region and like what maps are like most played, honestly. And honestly, but for my opinion, for Split, I feel like a lot of it's kind of already played out, and there's a pretty set comp on the map also for Icebox. So I could definitely see how that would make sense.
Let's talk about, so I think one of the results we want to have a look at here is Oxygen and Rix GG. I think it's in like the lower round 3, which ended up going all 3. Now, was that casted by you, Tom? Image?
No. right?
No, I don't think so. I think that was on the. Well, we don't cast together on it anyway, so for it to be cast by both of us was impossible. But no, I'm on the desk for Game Changers. I don't think I was on this day, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think the craziest thing about Oxygen, especially, is that they've now actually parted ways with the org. And okay, you did. There you go.
Yeah.
Mitch went back to check the VODs and be like, yeah, that's my voice.
That's my voice.
Looking a little closer, I'm like, yeah, I think
peanuts are hitting, you know.
The allergies coming out in full force.
Oh man.
Oh dear. Okay. All right. Listen. Moving along, I think one of the more interesting matches here was this noOrg team going up against G2 Gozen, because it was really the chance to take the temperature and understand just how far an unsigned team could go. Against a roster that was extremely well drilled. The answer turns out not that far in this matchup. They got slammed.
Yeah. I want to put that more down to the G2 Gozen effect. Like,
sure.
I honestly think, I think everybody at this point is waiting for them to play against Cloud9 White. I think it's inevitable, and it's going to be one of those matches that really defines whether or not we are just going to get another era of these ladies dominating, because anybody who's watched CS before knows at least 4 of the 5 players within this team, because they were the best team in CSGO as well. And they had been for years. Like Juliano and Zaz especially, I think, have been playing now for 10 years across different esports and are just the best of the best. So it seems to be that way as well now going into Game Changers. The first tournaments they played, a little rough. Like, you could see that players didn't necessarily know the agents too well. Mm-hmm. Now they've had time to build and practice. Yeah, a mixed team going into this are just going to get obliterated.
Yeah, and they seem to be, again, outside of going up against like Guild X and a couple of the usual suspects in top 4s here, G2 seem pretty comfortable. We'll maybe talk about that final in a sec. Can you guys give me the lowdown on this 10-star roster? This is like an all-French team, right? That has been putting up, decent results over the last few Game Changers series that we've seen them in. In the upper quarters, they go up against this Oxygen esports team and have a pretty comfortable win. Again, tell me about this 10-star team, because they're kind of sick. Again, we know that French teams often play with French players, right? French players often play together. So what's your take on this roster?
I don't know where you finished, but the recent changes with 10-star, like Rachel coming into this roster, she didn't necessarily warm up into it that like quickly enough, let's say. Maybe we'll see more from them a little bit further down the line, but right now I think that 10-star have kind of taken a step back in my mind when I compare them to when we first saw them, Tom. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was a well-oiled machine, but I don't necessarily want to say that they've gotten worse. I just think that the general level of Game Changers has come up so much, and I think G2 really summarizes that with, I think they looked pretty terrible the first time around. It looked like a group of CS players who were trying to get to grips with the game, really, but were definitely still a little bit behind coming into stage 2, and then further on, they've looked a whole lot better, and now they're dominating. So yeah, I think for 10-star, they're no less impressive, let's say. The Nello change was one thing, but I really feel like the rest of the girls have just caught up so much that the competition isn't that easy to dominate anymore.
I think my main thing with 10-star is structurally and how they play. I love it. Like the way that they have all these like neat little setups, that they'll have some like cool little combos that they'll throw in all of the time. The issue I actually have is just compared to G2, I don't think they have the same star power. Like you have a superstar in every single position when it comes to G2 Gozen. I think that there's a lot of very strong supportive elements, like for example, Lorelia, but is she going to frag as well as Mimi does? Oh, and Mimi will do it on a Sentinel at the same time. So I think that's the only place where they're really a little lackluster, is that they don't necessarily have that. They have star performers, but not to the same level. I also think the fact that Klaar's Jet is significantly weaker than her Raze means on certain maps her value goes down quite a lot.
I was going to ask earlier, sorry if I can cut in here.
Yeah, please.
A little on topic. I was going to ask, do you guys know any of the tea or the gossip on why exactly Anya was benched from G2? Because I was trying to follow the G2 roster, and I know they benched like 2 people. They picked people up and then they benched them like shortly after, and there was never really a like explanation. It didn't really seem like it was on very good terms. At least this is just from my POV. It just seemed like they just got abruptly dropped. There wasn't really any like fan footage or anything like that. But I bring it up because you mentioned like having a star jet, and only a few minutes ago you mentioned Anya was one of the best jets you guys have
Yeah.
seen. So
Yeah.
do we know the reason for that, or if any of you guys can discern anything?
No clue.
I think the only thing was more just like the way she fit within the team outside of the game. Like I think the core four are basically best friends. So I think that realistically they'll just switch people out. I also think that Juliano wanted to jet IGL. So it was
That
just
makes
like if you want to be that aggressive player and then you can IGL almost from the front, if that works for her and then the other player is like, okay, can I do that as well? I think she was the best jet or one of them in the whole tournament. So Juliano can still do it just as well as Anya can. So they went for value elsewhere because I think before that she was playing stuff like Viper, and it was almost like what Mixer was doing. It's like it's not bad,
Right.
but you know that she could be better in another spot.
I mean, I know our producers are absolute juice merchants. They will go out and try and find that kind of stuff. The amount of times where I'm like, are we
Juice
fucking,
merchants.
are we the fucking TMZ of Valorant sometimes? I sit here and think they didn't find anything. It was extremely discreet, that particular departure from the roster. This is the tweet here. And that was it.
That was
No,
it. No,
yeah,
that's
drop
why
it
I
off.
was so confused. And I barely follow the U scene, so I just chalked it up to that. But you know, it happens again with another player on G2. I was like, okay, damn, like this is there's something going on. It's like juicy, dude. Like no fanfare or anything.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of like that, picking up players and then. I mean we had the whole situation with Kellogg's and Mixwell as well. Like no one knew their right hand from the left in that scenario.
Until Nuki came on, right? And did the
Right.
laid it out
Well,
raw.
Shook it all up.
Yeah,
I feel like this G2 though will be the comparison to like the legendary NIP, where it's like, okay, so fifth Laren's gone. Who do we just keep replacing till the end of time? And they just
Yeah.
keep swapping out that fifth player, and it's like, what's your reason? Dunno. Let's just get a new one in every couple of weeks. So like we have seen so many players come in and out of rosters with Giuliano, Mimi, Petrazaz.
Yeah.
I think I would be gobsmacked if when they do eventually make another roster change, if it's any of those four.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess that
It's
that's
working for
solid
them.
fours.
No hate. I was just curious.
Yeah,
Like, That's
exactly.
kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, and we can't even really figure it out because everyone is so polite when they make this departure. Would this have happened in North America? I
Not so
wonder?
much in North America. I can already think of an example, but I do not speak. I do not speak.
Okay. I would get in trouble if I speak. Yeah,
Depends
okay.
on what
All
I
right.
speak, yes.
All right, Jose Mourinho memes aside, let's talk about this G2 Gozen Guildex matchup then, because our upper final was these two teams. It was a 2-0. G2 Gozen face Guildex again after they sort of, make that sort of lower bracket, the short lower bracket run. This is the first time I think they played each other. We got a fracture. We got a really particularly close fracture map here. I guess this is a good chance to rehash our understanding of this matchup because we get this matchup quite often in Game Changers EMEA. And where are we at? Are Guild catching up? Is the gap, quote unquote, closing? Is there even one? Like, where do we sort of stand on how we evaluate these two teams?
I genuinely just believe that G2 just have that almost killer mentality when it matters. Because there's been so many games where Guild have been in the lead or in a good spot or they've got off to a great start. And then it's like G2 almost just go, we need to win now. And then they do. And it doesn't seem to matter what sort of scenario. There was only, I think both. So in this Game Changers, they lost one map. In the Game Changers before, they lost two maps. Two of them have been to Guild and they've lost both of those series. It happens every single time. And in fact, one of the maps in the final, Guild destroyed them, and then just seconds later, it was like G2 came back and was like, "No, we didn't see that. That didn't happen. We've won now." And you kind of forget everything that happened before it. I think it's just that they are a team that has won so much, so many times that when they lose, it's just a blip. Like it doesn't matter to them. So I think that Guild almost need to get a win somewhere so that then it can just almost build into something more, because that's the one thing I really think they're missing. It's not the players or the structure or anything like that. It just seems to be their ability to actually close out maps.
Okay, then let me spin it differently to you. Does this G2 team seem to have any weaknesses? We got a lot of maps between these two teams. We got 6 maps between them over the course of those two games. I do know that the split matchup in the actual grand final went pretty heavily in Guildex's way.
Yeah.
If you sit here and you evaluate this team and go like, okay, what is there to stop them from being this NIP team, this team that just does not lose? What can you maybe see here?
Well, the map they lost was because Smurfette just went absolutely ham and probably had one of the best maps we've seen from a Jet in the entire tournament. Like, she was just running up and just taking fights and winning every single one. Honestly, asking to find G2's weaknesses is, I think, something we'll have to point towards Cloud9 White in the future, because as of right now in Game Changers, it really doesn't look like they have any.
There's probably people out there paid 6 figures to answer that question. They probably know the answer.
Sure.
I was gonna say, does G2 plays in co-ed tournaments, right? I think I saw a tweet the other day from like Mimi that they won a few of their VLR matches, and as far as I'm aware, the VLR is like the regional league for different areas in the EMEA,
Yeah,
right?
VRL. They're in
sorry.
VRL Northern.
VRL, yeah.
And that's not like a female only. That's like co-ed, like male teams. Every team is in that circuit, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting.
I've
The
seen
other
them
teams-
run
Go ahead, sorry.
a few different comps in there. So I wonder, like, I wonder if they test stuff for Game Changers in there, or how much, because that's the thing. I looked back at some of the comps they were running, and it was stuff that when they went into Game Changers, they never run again. So I was just, I don't know how they're playing those events. That's what's curious to me.
I feel
my
like you'll
follow-up
probably
would-
still try some stuff though,
They
because
Exactly.
did not qualify for VRL Northern that I can
No.
see. So unfortunately, the
But-
open qualifier, they lost to a team called Ziz. Fucking
probably
brilliant.
still important for them to take it seriously, because VRLs are like the gateway to actually like going through the relegations of those that got dropped down during the
Yeah,
season
so
you guys
top
have in
one-
Europe, right? So
Top
Yeah.
one of each VRL goes to a qualifier to battle versus the teams who dropped out of VCT.
Getting to play officials in like a league format as well seems pretty attractive.
I wish I had that. That'd be so sick.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I guess my follow up would be: are there any other female teams in this league or in this tournament? Because if there's not, I really couldn't tell you a weakness for G2. Like if G2 is, it seems like the only team that is playing in these co-ed tournaments in EMEA, whichever. I don't know how the system entirely works. Of like the open tournaments, it's
Yeah,
super
this is
easy
the
for us to get
North
involved,
region.
but I'm not sure how easy it is for EMEA Game Changers teams. But if they are the only one, I really just don't see them toppling anytime soon. It seems like have like a really good mentality, and they're winning as well. So
It's just them as far as I can see here.
it's very interesting.
Sam's saying
Northern,
that
but
she
there's
thinks that Rix plays and then or played in that tournament as well. So
Okay,
there's,
well, sorry.
but
Yeah,
they didn't make it
I'm only
far.
looking at
There's some.
a part of the bracket. It's actually a fucking gigantic bracket. So
I actually love that team name, by the way. I saw that go
Only-
through the Twitter live at OnlyFins. Fuck,
They're just a
amazing.
Finnish team.
Yeah,
Very
amazing
nice.
team name.
Very nice.
so
Love
Rift
it.
Lightning's in there. Yeah. So, so G2 Gozen won, 2 best of 3s, and then got knocked out, unfortunately, in the qualifying match that would have put them, I think, in a.
That's
So,
tough.
or at least because it's complicated. Well, there's an open qualifier, and there's a closed qualifier, and then there's this league structure. I guess it's basically challenges NA.
Exactly,
be
that's what I was
honest.
about to
Except
say.
There's
It
another
sounds like
tier above that
challengers.
in NA because you guys getting fucked in NA.
Yeah.
Here's those matches.
Like
that
Challengers
are
NA
available.
last year. If it goes down to that. Like, yeah, we're missing a little bit at the VRLs, but we're a bit sad about it, but that's why we're able to play the VCCs and the Nerd Street Weeklies and
That's
and the
fucking
monthlies,
copium
right?
band sussy, and you know it, bro.
Sorry,
No,
I
this
just
is all
want to say
truth.
I heard the term $1,000 weekly tournaments earlier. Let's take a step back for a minute. In
It
Europe,
adds up,
Mitch
We
is
said
in
it
it
adds
for the
up.
money.
we don't have tournaments in Europe at all.
Oh,
Now
wow.
we do.
Exactly.
Now we
Sorry.
do. Like, we had a year with none, but now eventually we got our
You don't really
VRLs.
have a ton of tournament organizers that are just putting stuff out there. Like I think
Yeah.
in Spain you do, and I guess like at times like Asus ROG would run stuff in France and stuff like that.
Yeah, the French scene's pretty active.
But for DAC, for example, like there's not, for the UK, there's like fuck all. So that also, in hindsight, they could be right, sort of trying to compensate for the lack of those structures already in NA, as opposed to Knights and like Nerd Street, who are, obviously pumping out these tournaments. So I guess it does even out in a sense. But still, Mel, you guys have been sat probably waiting to sink your teeth into yet another Game Changers sort of cycle, watching what's going over in Europe. How do you sort of feel like that region's developing? Because you had the chance to have played some Game Changers and then look and see how it's done in Europe, see how some of the teams approach the game. I guess it's a little complicated because, G2 are primarily, come from Counter-Strike and they bring a little bit of a different pedigree than teams that, organically form in Valorant and playing Game Changers. But how do you sort of feel that region is developing? And what would you take from Europe, if possible, and bring it to NA in that sense?
Definitely not breach on Ascent. Not sure why I just saw that, but I'm just kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke. Please don't hate me, Guild. I promise. I don't mean it. But I think my biggest takeaway from like kind of perusing some of the games, and also I watch all of the G2 comments videos, so I'm watching you, Mimi. But no, I DM'd her the other day. I was like, dude, I love your comments videos. Like, you guys have such awesome energy. Like, it honestly reminds me a lot of like my team. So if anything, I really look forward to playing G2. I'm probably going to study them a bit more towards like the end of the year. I don't really want to get ahead of myself now and do like a lot of hardcore analysis. I'm just going to enjoy watching the games. But in terms of what might perceive as like our biggest threat, definitely G2 Gozen. And that's just worldwide. That just goes international, not just EMEA. I think that, like you guys have mentioned, like there's CS players with a ton of experience. I've personally like looked up to Mimi in the past. I remember, I don't know if you guys followed like CS FPL, but there was a time where she was this close to qualifying for FPL, one win away, one win, and she would have been the first. Exactly. And I remember watching her stream. I remember being on Reddit and I was like, yeah, like I was fangirling. I was like ready for that like next step to happen. She didn't make it, but I think that was still like a huge effort, honestly. And
that was heartbreaking.
It was. I remember she lost, and I think it was like so close too. But I've always looked up to her, and if she had potential to breach like the co-ed, you know, her, Dion, the whole team had chances to breach the co-ed in CS. So definitely our biggest rival, I think, going onto the international stage for sure.
I enjoy sort of the approach that G2 have taken to their sort of post-match interviews. This is really funny. I don't know if like this is like Boaster's influence or something like that.
Yes, I love them.
We're gonna roll for those at home who haven't seen the post-match interview after G2 beat Guild. We're gonna run that for you now. Yeah, have a look.
Congratulations, you guys are 2-time winners, not once, but twice now. How much? Oh no, I just saw. How much does this mean
guys,
to?
Interview started. You need to go now.
No, it's fine. This is incredible. They can stay. This is incredible. Wow, you guys don't just win on the server. You win with memes and entertainment as well. But what does this title mean to you guys?
Well, I mean, this was amazing. Also, I think this meant it meant obviously a lot to everyone, but Glance winning against her old teammates. Like, it's amazing. She got so emotional. It's so sweet. We're all so happy, super, super happy.
Yeah, I want to kind of rewind back to the beginning of today with the bans and picks. First, you guys decided to ban Fracture today. I think we expected you to ban Bind. So what was the reasoning behind that?
Basically, Fracture is still a very new map in our map pool. And one of the arguments from Julia was basically that we don't really have anything to fall back on if anything goes super wrong. And we have that on Bind. So basically, that was our arguments, and we decided to ban Fracture instead of.
I honestly don't understand why you have been banning Bind. You guys were very, very good today. So yeah, I asked Juliana this morning, you know, and now I'm even more perplexed as to why you guys haven't been playing this map.
I mean, we have been super confident on Icebox, and we didn't want to show our full map pool and our agent select, because Bind is completely different from what it was in the last Game Changers. So it was maybe a little joker we put out of the sleeve, maybe.
Yeah, it worked. It worked very, very well. And before today, you guys only lost 2 maps across 2 Game Changers. We don't see you lose very often, you know, at all. So talk me through what happened on Split, and if you had any time at all to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, Split, we didn't play our game. Also, again, Smurfette popping off, completely owning us. There's nothing we can do against that, honestly. After she did that, Julia was like, we sat down, everyone. She was like, listen up. If we lose, we lose. If we win, we fucking win. We got this. We have nothing to lose. We just play our game. We have fun. We love this game. And we all agreed that, you know, that's freaking true. That was the best motivational speech we could have gotten, because, I mean, look the result, I guess.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I know it's kind of got everything, right? Wholesome takes, a little bit of decent discussion about how Fracture fits in the map pool, but also the fucking trash bags. You ever wonder what they put in those trash bags? Like they just hurriedly tried to fill these trash bags with fucking whatever they had on hand.
That's what I'm thinking. How did they
The
fill
thing
it
that
so
got
quickly?
me was that
Older jerseys.
in the one before, they said none of them were prepped. And I was like, bollocks, you've got bags set up with guild logos attached to them. No, none of these were planned. We just had those lying around.
I mean,
in our studio.
Tom, what do you think? The coaches can't communicate with the players during the game. So what the fuck do you think he's doing? He's doing
course
arts and
not.
crafts in the corner.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
He's watching
Maybe
the
they're
stream.
getting stuff
isn't
out of
he?
the sewers.
Can't even watch the stream anymore.
Jeez. Oh, he can, but he has to have he has to be physically restrained by like a burly gentleman called Hans at all times. He
Sign
cannot-
me up.
And he has to have gaffer tape across his mouth. Are you kidding me?
I did not see this.
I didn't see
What?
that one.
How?
Oh my god, dude! You can't tell me this is Carlos. This is just these ladies just fucking being absolute savages. Unreal. Okay,
It's so
dude.
funny too because you see that the first couple seconds of the interview where they're holding the trash bags, like some good banter, and then I feel like you just can't help but. I don't know. Mimi is so wholesome. Like I just put some smile on my face whenever I see her. If I ever bootcamp in EU, Mimi, if you're watching this, we gotta hit up the duos. Like hit me up. You just have such good energy. Like I'm smiling watching this. Like I can't be mad. Like I don't know. I can't be mad.
Oh, I mean, that would make for some great content as well, for sure. Now, obviously, Mel, you can't wait to get started with Game Changers, I'm sure. What's coming up for you guys? We've only got you half an hour, so we'll let you go in a sec. But tell us what's next for the C9 Wire. What do you got on the horizon?
Definitely, if there's any open tournaments, we're gonna be playing in those. I haven't really seen any yet, but expect us to hop in those for sure. Game Changers is about 2 months from now. I'm actually interested to see how that goes because I will say I'm a little, without getting into too spicy territory here, I'm a little disappointed in how many Game Changers teams didn't sign up for VCT Open Quals, but that's a whole other story. I'm not gonna get into it. I don't expect really
in
that much
particular?
competition.
Disapproving,
Well?
Mel. Best Mel.
Disappointed Mel. No, but not to directly call out teams, but I'm definitely a little disappointed.
Sure.
But for that means for us, we probably won't have very much competition this Game Changers.
Yep.
So looking
fine.
forward to it. That's fine.
No, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Great thing.
Hi, man. You're still here? What's going on, homie?
Yeah, no, yeah, you know, just chilling. Just I ran out of couldn't eat any more
Stomach
noodles
doing.
with my knife. My stomach's good. Should get some
Oh,
tea.
not this again.
Mate,
I'm
you're
glad
But
not-
that
I wasn't on a
conversation of what
microphone when
Mel's
he said
saying though,
that.
by the way, with like disappointed not seeing more teams playing into VCTs that are participating currently in the Game Changers is very similar to what's going on in North America, where tier 1 teams are not playing in tier 2 tournaments, and then now we see the results of it too. So
Yeah.
you gotta start thinking about those guys starting.
This
to play a
happened
little bit more.
last year. I'm so pissed off. This literally happened when Luminosity and Immortals turned out to be decent teams. It's because they fucking played these tournaments. And then they started beating people like TSM. The reason TSM basically took last year off is because they didn't fucking play in those. Like people don't learn, man. It's fucking wild. I think it's great that Cloud9 White are looking to try and jump into as much as they can. I think, did we see Shopify Rebellion also sign
Yep.
up for the Yep.
Yep.
And I know
They played against
they had a-
Exit. They had a pretty good game against Exit, actually.
right.
They
Yeah, I
also
remember
got
seeing that.
13-7,
Rob was,
pretty
I think, was
decent
saying
breeze,
was
I
really
think.
happy with that performance.
Yep.
So
It's reminiscent of literally when we played Exit in the Open Qualifiers literally a year ago. It's just it's just actually so funny. What a coincidence.
now, Tom, mate, great to have you on the show as well, mate. What's coming up next for you? You're gonna have to drag this bloody dickhead through some casts anytime soon, or what's going on?
Yeah, well, announced today we're doing the first week of VCT coming back, and I think we're on the first day, which is the most ridiculous day of like that we've seen. We got Liquid versus Gambit as our first match back,
Wow,
and then
snooze
G2
fest,
Fnatic
not
as the
NA.
second. So you know,
Jesus.
Yeah.
two biggest
And-
orgs and the two
and-
biggest teams.
For you, those are tier 1 teams, man. We have those in Europe. It's going to be pretty good.
I think they
Yeah,
have them
yeah,
in
yeah.
LATAM as well, so you can watch some LATAM if you want to see some good Valorant.
Oh god. All right, you
Uh.
fuckers. All right. Well, Mel, Tom, thank you very much for joining us, and thanks for your insight, of course, on your takes on what's going on in Europe. Big fan. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mel.
Oh,
Now I know
shut
what
the
it feels
windows.
like to be Mitch Man during like the North American coverage of the VCTs.
Yeah, sit back and
Yeah.
eat your
Chill out.
noodles. Enjoy, man. It's good. It's good.
Eat a bag of spice. Is that what it is?
It's this, no, it's a spice bag. Come on,
Spice
people
bag.
must know what a
Spice
spice
bag,
bag is. It's a
No, I don't know what a
Oh.
spice bag is. Yeah, I've never heard of that.
right. Listen, if
It
you're ever in
seems-
Ireland,
it seems like
there's-
wasteful to the earth.
It's like a chip butty. Like no one knows what that
No,
is outside of the UK.
It's just like it comes in a a typical chipper like
Yeah.
fish and chip shop bag, right? And it just has like
That
never
heard of that. Never seen that.
what do you guys fries, right? Like chunky
it's
fries.
chips.
I know
chips
with-
with
fries,
fucking
but like
spicy
comes in a
seasoning.
bag.
Yeah, a load of spicy stuff, and then there's crispy shredded chicken in there as well. It's delicious. Get a bit of
Oh,
satay
okay.
sauce. Woo! Gorgeous.
Just no cheese. I thought there was cheese and stuff in there. I thought you were having a poutine.
No.
Anyways.
Get a
Honestly
chicken
sounds-
filler roll.
honestly
if you ever
sounds
come to
pretty sick.
Ireland.
Yeah.
It is.
All right.
Amazing.
All right. Well, let's crack on. Obviously, we just talked a little bit about game changes, and I can't believe we're waiting 2 months for that to happen in North America. I guess
That's wild.
the expectation is you're signing up in for a lot of this open stuff, right? Which is kind of what Mel was touching on. She was hoping to see. I mean, I'm sweating if I'm one of those game changers teams. Like, oh fuck, I can't believe we didn't
Yeah.
sign up for this. You know? Oh dear.
In the end, I guess if something could get announced, and we always wanted to have it around what's going on for the circuit or like Masters or whatnot, it'll be probably nice to see those game changers during the week or something.
Yeah.
So that
do wonder,
in the
though-
week, so that it gives us a little bit of something outside of the weekend season that we get from the challengers and the VCTs.
Do you think it's an upside or a downside that it starts later in terms of the World Finals then being like closer, but also you having a lot more officials in more of a condensed period? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder who gets
Where
the
you
upper
could
hand out of that.
Potentially overplay.
Yeah, it could be overplay, but also if you make a roster change, like you've got to keep your roster together a whole year in EMEA. Well, 2 months less is significantly less risk of a player going AWOL or disappearing or whatever. So it's this is the reality. Look, no region inherently benefits from it. It entirely
Yeah.
depends on the teams, right? And what storylines develop. But it'll be interesting to keep an eye on then the teams that perform super well, seeing their story and seeing their perspective on which calendar they think would have benefited them more.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, I think we'll try and do a retrospective at the end of the year and go, hey, like, how did you feel about this? Like, because quite often, like, we have the same in the Overwatch League. Like, we set a schedule, players are like, yeah, this is great. End of the year, they're like, oh, actually, there's a ton of stuff wrong with this. We didn't like it, but you don't know until you experience it. So, some more stuff, I guess, related to cheating has sort of resurfaced or surfaced, I guess, over the last week or so, because this is like an ongoing conversation about coaches and their ability to impact the game via communicating with their team, or what information coaches who aren't in the server necessarily in the same way can access. Obviously, we talked about this G2 situation, right? We'll just quickly rehash that for those that aren't aware. Pipson, the coach of G2, was heard on mic sort of communicating with the players. Now, it wasn't of a tactical nature. It was of an encouraging nature. But there was a ruling this only February the 3rd, so 5 days ago. This ruling came out after the T1 ruling, I'm sure, and they probably had to make a statement because this just sort of flew under the radar after it happened in Europe. We mentioned it on the show last couple of weeks and nothing was really said. So there's a warning. G2 have suffered a warning because of it was clear that Pipson was involved. I guess they've tried to review this as much as possible. Pipson also creates an apology. He said he unmuted to react to a sick clutch, which is really interesting because obviously, like, it's premeditated if you have to actually unmute yourself, but it is what it is. This was a situation where a coach was able to communicate with the player. Okay, just let's get our personal opinions out of the way on this one real quickly. Do you guys think that that's legitimate? Do you believe that a version of events, or do you think that Pipson was probably talking much more than just on that one occasion, right? Like, I know we can't be sure.
He has to be
Yeah.
talking more than once, really. Like, if you're going to talk about purely probability statistics-wise, well, like, yeah, okay. If you're going to accidentally unmute to react to something, it tells me that you do it a fair bit, right? But
Yeah.
to be honest, that whole line of inquiry, like the difference between the G2 and as we'll talk about the Movistar and the T1, they're all very different situationally, which only further feeds to the point that you cannot police this actively. It's not possible in the current state. You have Pipson, all the evidence that we have of him is the reaction to the clutch. There's rumors, there's a lot of talk about it being IGLing, about him having being a lot more hands-on. As I said when we covered the T1 situation, there are so many teams that I've heard rumors of that their coach is either IGLing, giving the input, or just providing helpful comms like help sewers in all chat. There's a lot of different takes on how involved the coaches should be right now, and I think that I've said it since the start. We need to just let the coaches talk at open quals and move on to closed quals, or later on when we can police it, and then that's when we actually say no, you're not allowed to communicate. Right now, it breaks my heart seeing all this sort of stuff because it's unnecessary. We don't want no one. Listen, when somebody cheats, we want them to get caught and punished for it, of course. But nobody takes pleasure in that, in seeing someone who has a future career be punished, or even just the drama that goes around now because of it. It soils the name of the players and the whole vibe of the scene as well. We need to get this shit over with, and it's going to keep happening. This is the thing. We're going to be sat here in 6 months talking, this team had a coach calling for them apparently. It's going to keep happening as long as it's possible for teams to do this. And there's, as we said, no way to enforce it.
Yeah.
Well, on the other end, though, I think it's looking at everything that came out is also what the response and the decision was made out of these calls from the announcements from Riot, right? So because Pipson, we evaluated what was being done here for Pipson, for example. It seems as though it was technically saying nice during a hype moment, not calling it. Therefore, we thought it was okay for competitive ruling that they'd only get a warning or whatever. Then you have another one that went into DMing and stream sniping or whatever, and saying like, oh, there's one guy coming here. Well, that's a clear violation. And what was the punishment there? Was that one map? Was that one series? And I think it goes back to that conversation we had last week, is it doesn't matter if you said nice. It doesn't matter if you actually wrote help sewers. It doesn't matter if you're, I don't know, fucking your cat rolls on the keyboard and it's fucking all enter, and then you have a message that comes out. You actually still violated a rule. So you have to keep that consistency to be, no matter what you said, you now forfeit one map, or you now forfeit one series. So where it becomes lenient is all these rulings come out, and then later on, people are still going to be probably still IGLing or whatever in their coach slots. Let's face it, that is definitely going to happen. But depending on the severity of how they got caught, then that's where there's still that leniency, and people are still going to try to abuse it as much as they can. But if there's that clear, consistent rule as to you fucking type A, B, or whatever, you're banned or you're punished, your team is punished, your team is disqualified, I think you'll be a little bit more careful as to trying to avoid that, at least.
So audio listeners won't know this, but obviously Movistar Riders, we just flashed a ruling in their case. They've taken a 3-point deduction to their league points because there's a screenshot of a coach messaging a player in game. The ruling is they've violated this rule and will receive a 3-point deduction applied to their league points total in the VRL Spain Rising. It said tournament officials were provided with evidence of the Movistar Riders coach, Movistar I think is how they pronounce it, providing written tactical instructions to Movistar Riders players while their match against Rix.GG was in progress. So a 3-point deduction, they say, is equivalent to a 1-match loss. I guess because you get 3 points for sort of winning. Yeah, look, obviously there's quite a few teams that are doing this and maybe did this with alarming regularity beforehand because it was unenforceable and it was a competitive advantage that they could access, and they sort of exploited. Obviously people are memeing about this a little bit as well. People, because obviously you can get really serious about this or you can meme about it. Vex memeing about it. I'll read this out for our people that are listening. Vex Gaming are super cute and will receive big hugs and kisses from the UK Valorant scene. Vex were found to have an unlucko day in day 2 of the VRL NE closed qualifiers, with one professional player having a funny tummy after a dodgy kebab, and another having internet issues due to still being on dial-up internet as place of residence. Ruling. Due to section 69.420 of the Unlucko Malacco policy, Vex Gaming will receive much love, many likes, and many retweets from the UK scene. Relevant rules, Vex Gaming should have qualified. I'm glad that people sort of have a bit of fun with this. But guys, and I've said this a couple of times, this does open a little bit of a Pandora's box, because it begs the question: to what degree, especially for teams that are playing in the same facility, and a coach can be present in the facility, or the ability to watch a stream and relay that information is also a huge issue. I think there was someone tweeted sort of saying like, how hard would it be for coaches to just watch the stream and glean this information? This discussion prompted an official response, first from Nerd Street, which we covered last week, where Josie, I think, is like, I mean, it's not against the rules for coaches to watch the stream. We can't really police it. So this Reed Johnson fellow. Yeah, I guess the next pause, I'm telling my team every setup the other team is using, where they're using the util, etc. Obviously, that's available to you as a viewer of the stream, because our great observers try and provide this bird's eye coverage to allow people to understand what's going on. Same person who made this tweet asks, or maybe this was beforehand, asked Josie at NSG, like, is this allowed? And he's like, yeah, I mean, you're allowed to watch the live broadcast. So all of a sudden, wait a minute, this doesn't seem to make sense with the, I guess the vivacity with Riot are sort of, trying to punish coaches communicating. There's a domino effect now of situations that have to be considered, and Riot had to come out and say, hey, y'all can't do this. This is George Geddes here. Sort of in a tweet saying that coaches and players in the NA VCT are now prohibited from watching the official broadcast of a match during the game. I'm sorry, am I dumb in saying that this is not really enforceable either? Like,
no,
you don't even have to sign into Twitch to watch a fucking broadcast, right?
Yeah.
I know, but like I said, in the end, it's not that enforceable, but at least the rule is there. So it's written in writing that if you try to cheat, you get fucked. That's what's important here.
Right, so if someone gets caught, there's already a precedent with which to apply a certain punishment. A standard has already been set.
Yeah. Because right now, like, let's take the clearest example in the CSGO scene for what iBuyPower did before. And then they got a huge punishment out of the Valve circuit. But then you look at, in the last year or two, the whole conversation around the summertime where we're still looking to find out who are these people that actually match fixed over the past, like, X amount of years when they're playing North American Counter-Strike, right? So it's still going to happen. But now, at least because there's a severity that happened in the past from iBuyPower, what's going to happen when these guys get caught, or when this story is going to come out, or whatever. And then now, at least for this time, in the scene for Valorant, you got caught MM1ing help sewers to your team. There is the punishment. There is now some official statements that's coming out. Put a ruling now, and then it's still going to happen. But if you get caught, here's the repercussions. Your team's fucked. Your coach is fucked. Your I don't know, your career
is still an honor
fucked.
system, right?
It's still an honor system, yes.
I mean, even our current coaching system is an honor system in a way, and it's a really silly one. You currently have a system where, from my understanding, the harshest punishment you're going to face if I jump in with my team and legitimately IGL, we're going to lose a map. We're going to lose a series, maybe. Okay, well, if it's an upper bracket game, who gives a shit? I just tell all your players, hey, everyone turn off your fucking shadow play. I'm not going to type in chal and plug my keyboard. We're good to go. No one can find out. You have then even further. Look, David Dennis is a fucking moron. I think that's clear. He used in-game chat, which not only has fucking chat logs if he didn't do all chat, but also, you might do all chat by the man he's got a donut for a brain. But when it comes to other people, you can use WhatsApp. You can use, like, there's so many different things, so many opportunities out there for that sort of stuff to happen. So right now we're relying on teams almost reporting themselves for it, turning in their own evidence by accident, such as G2. And let's face it, people are going to be very, very conscious of it now. Those slip-ups all happened within a week. No one's going to be posting their screenshots or their frag clips or whatever without checking now that if their coach is giving them those calls, that it's not in the video. So we're not going to see those kind of reports come out. How else do we catch them? We don't. And the ruling systems right now, regardless of, T1 lost the match because, again, David Dennis is a literal moron. He typed in all chat. So it was very clear that he was getting involved in the moment. So they forfeit that match. You move on to G2. It's found out afterwards because it was a tweet that was put out online. They had already lost, so they went through the next qualifier to end up qualifying. So that didn't really matter either. They effectively got their map, their series loss. And then Movistar Riders, again, found out afterwards, so they effectively get a series loss. For me, that's fucking bullshit. If you tell me that a team is breaking the rules by having an extra player on the roster, like a fucking 6v5. And if you get caught, which is incredibly unlikely, you'll lose the series. Oh, you wouldn't want to lose 3 points in VRL, would you? To potentially win 300, you know? It's like, oh yeah, you might have won 20 matches, but now you've lost one. Have you learned your lesson, David? Have you? It's bizarre.
When Hector got fined like $5,000 for delaying a match where there was no cheating between 100 Thieves and I forgot who it was. It was against TSM as well, I think. There was like a slap on the wrist and $5,000 fine, and this time you're actually cheating, but you only lose a series.
Yeah,
you know. So
I know
3 points, fans. 3 points. That'll
3 points,
teach.
man. So, I mean, a lot of our concerns are addressed here. This is obviously an article here. I think it was at esports.gg where a Riot Games spokesperson, who will not be named, I guess they're very good at closing ranks on one another. I know this from personal experience. For us, it was important to clarify and lay out the logic of what behavior we think is against the spirit of competitive integrity. We also recognize the difficulty of enforcing this rule with large online competition, but felt it was important to have a position from which we can issue rulings anyway. So they're saying basically what Vans was saying. It's like, yeah, it's unenforceable, but if we catch someone, there's already like, we can just refer directly to the punishment. We don't have to like give anyone any warnings anymore, just because there isn't a precedent set for how we structure punishments for these kind of offenses. Pretty light. I mean, what a 3 point deduction, a match loss. I think that's what you're saying, Mitch. It's pretty light.
And
it's pretty light, especially if you got deep in the tournament, right? You got deep into the tournament, you beat so many other teams.
Yeah, in the case of some teams, like where you've already lost the game, you get a warning. And it's like, okay, but so you cheated, and because you lost, well, then we just pretend it doesn't happen. The same thing happened. I mean, I'll hold myself back and not mention who, but I had a specific scenario in stage 1 when I was working with Alliance where actually 2 separate teams used the same bug consistently. We had made sure to, you know, say, don't use this fucking cam. Everyone had talked about it and all that. Cam got used on Split, 2 separate games. Those teams knew they used it. They used it for 12 and 13 rounds, and they lost the map anyways. And so the admin's response was, well, you won, so it doesn't matter. Oh, cool. So fuckers can just be spin botting. It's like, well, you did win the game, so who cares, you know?
So
really,
VLR.gg, Spike.gg, Alliance match history, Split still won. Okay, so this team.
yeah. Shout out Guild. What's up? But no, look, these things happen, and for me, it's just, I think that we've hit a point now where we're starting to understand, and the people making the rules are starting to understand that the consistency of the enforcement was woeful before, and now we're getting to a point where we're at least starting to level things out, where okay, 3 teams have committed similar breach of the rules. They've all broken the same rule, and they have effectively received the same punishment, in that the game where they were found to have cheated, they have been forced to lose. But severity is always the problem for me. It means not to lose a series, especially if you've already lost it. It doesn't discourage you from cheating. It maybe makes it a bit inconvenient if you do get caught, but if anything, it probably just encourages you to be more discreet about your cheating, because you know other teams are going to cheat, so why play at a disadvantage? This whole situation upsets me.
And it opened up the conversation for some people starting to say, oh, maybe we should just allow it doing open qualifiers, because you can't apply that ruling. And I think that's
these
bullshit.
Teams are disadvantaging themselves when it comes to actual, closed qualifiers, like Kaplan mentioned in chat, from round of 32 onwards. Coaches had to stream their game to an admin, stream their webcam to an admin, and work with their team in a recorded TeamSpeak channel with an admin. So outside of that, I guess you're free of those restrictions. But as soon as round 32 hit, you're at a distinct disadvantage, because you've conditioned your team to rely on your coach as a calling source, and that it was no longer valuable to you. I think any team worth their salt will realize that this is just a bad idea to rely on that then, if you want to go deep, really deep in these tournaments. So,
I'll say this.
It's clusterfuck, and I think people who are asking to throw open the gates on this, I think are, if it's unenforceable, then sort of, make it not illegal. I get it, but it is a shame that we have to deal with this situation, but humans are shit. Humans are fucking shit. In a story. We're going to break. We come back. We're going to find one of the few shit humans to join. A few non-shit humans. Jesus Christ. One of the few
welcome, Adam, you shit human.
To join us.
Some shit
on the show. will be Kaplan to talk us through NA VCT Open 2. Holy, the nicest people I know, and I've just said that. It's so unfortunate. Anyway, we'll be back after the break. The non-shit human Kaplan's going to come on the show. See you then. All right, gang, welcome to the second half of the show here on Valoranting for the week of what? The fucking 6th of February?
Just gets shittier from here.
Yeah, it does actually. In more ways than one, you could say. All right, so obviously North America languishing in their lack of VRLs, and we had to fight to get a half reasonable sort of structure to qualify into challenges. We kind of got there with 4 teams auto qualifying and then 2 open qualifiers that fed 4 teams each into a I guess this sort of main qualifier. We have 12 teams now. So 4 teams were locked in. Oh yeah, we have all of our teams for this this group stage, I guess, from February 11th onward locked away after our second open bracket. So join us back on the show. Someone whose team, got some pretty impressive results, I think, and obviously not maybe as far as they would have liked to go, but still a very solid performance nonetheless. It's obviously Ghost Gaming's Kaplan. Welcome back, man. Good to have you.
Good to be here. What's poppin'?
Oh, we're good. Oh, actually, Adam.
Whoops. Good to be here. How you guys doing?
Uchi. There you go.
Well, not bad. Yeah, obviously we probably, I'm not going to lie, like the co-stream frenzy was insane this last week. Like it seems like everybody was either watching or participating in the co-stream for this open. It's pretty insane how much attention North America can get on an open qualifier. But I guess when there's, little else going on, this is how it goes. It's really important, right? The stakes are super high. And I bet you guys felt that, right? Coming into this sort of last chance to make it to close.
Yep. Definitely glad that we got 2 open qualifiers. We got some double elim. 4 teams got invited, made everything a little easier when Cloud9, Envy, Sentinels, and 100 Thieves aren't around to knock you out. But still, super high stakes. Yep. We're not in main event, and I don't know what we're going to be doing. I mean, I know what we'll be doing for practice, but for tournaments, I have no clue if there will be anything in the next about 3 months. So we'll see.
Let's talk about that match thing. Obviously, you guys made it to the upper quarterfinals. You had a best of 3 against Evil Geniuses, which went the distance. Really, really competitive series. I'm sure the guys would have been pretty gutted with the result here, but hopefully you guys are proud of yourselves with just how much you came in a region that's really starting to get very frothy, right? Like a lot of these teams out of tier 2 are starting to look good.
Yeah, no, I mean, we had a really nice day 2 against FaZe and TSM, so not super proud that we didn't kind of go out with a bang. We feel like we kind of puttered out, especially down in the loser bracket. But it is crazy competitive, trying to balance the sinking depression that comes with being like, whoops, not in main event, sitting around for 2 months with the fact that, there's just so many different teams, and I don't know. Guess we got stuff to work on that other teams, they were close games.
Start making some content again, Adam.
Yep, that's right. A little extra time to come on Valoranting and be the resident shit human.
Maybe. I'm never gonna live that down. That wasn't even funny. That's just, oh my god. All right. Let's talk. Okay, come on, let's do this. My favorite topic. Help me out here, guys. I always need to talk about these fuckers. T1 were. I don't know if T1 were expected to be a hugely dominant team, but I do think that people thought they'd make it to closed, or to the main event rather. What is it? Up of round 32. So this is where they would be surveilled very closely by by all and sundry to make sure that everything was above board in terms of their coaching. Went up against Virtuoso, obviously a team that people probably should know about. Obviously, Anders coached this roster, and
correct.
Names like King, who we're starting to see a little bit more. We even put a lot of his sort of clips on the show here. T1 end up losing this series here. It's 10-13 on Bind, and then 7-13 on Icebox. So, look, I'd love to pump Virtuoso's tires up, but I do want to talk a little bit about what is going wrong with T1 here, because this is the very inauspicious showing from this roster that makes some big changes and put someone like Steel in the driver's seat.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could help you on trying to analyze what happened in those 2 series that they lost, but unfortunately those games weren't streamed, because obviously you'd think that they'd be able to make it a little bit further down the road where it should be streamed. Either it's upper bracket or lower bracket there, right? So you don't really know what happened. Now you're starting to have that rumor mill turn and be like, oh shit, is it really DD8 that's been helping out the team in terms of IGLing? Is Steel really not that fit to be able to do what he needed to do when he joined T1? Does he have that leadership? Does he have the strats? What's going on with Curry? Because he also IGL'd for T1 before too. And how does that work, right? And I think it's going to be very similar to that storyline of, you know, what's going on with TSM, what's going on with FaZe. Like, all these guys are all still new teams just forming up and trying to get things going and get things rolling. And you look at every single one of these interviews, post-match interviews of all these teams that qualified that you didn't expect to qualify. And Adam, you could probably add on to this to say it's so close that anybody could beat anybody. But I feel that now, like, all these other teams are under the microscope because of all the fucking clout that they have from these orgs.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think people got to start separating what a tier 1 team is from a tier 1 org. Like, you know, some teams are equal but getting paid twice as much, and that's always the thing that's going to happen. But like, there's not the craziest player pool. I mean, we're all working with the same set of players. There's some players that came over from CS, and they're pretty much all claimed for, and then there's a bunch of players trying to come up in Valorant, and like, at this point, kind of like, no matter who you are, like, you could be TSM or you could be a crew, and if you need a new player and you're not going to go buy it from another team, like, you're all trying to scout the same players. You could have twice the spending money, and unless you're about to go crazy on a buyout, which, you know, an org would have to even be willing to give up a player, then, you know, what does it really mean that you're a tier 1 org when it comes to building your team? You're working with the same kind of players, and I think that shows in some of the rebuilds. People might feel they're underwhelming, but I think when you look at some of these rebuilds, you know, given what players these orgs are working with, you can't really fault them. And I think there's a lot of teams who have nerves, and they're new teams, that chemistry, that comfort in matches isn't there yet. So, like, I'm not gonna lie, this very much includes my own team. When you watch tier 2 North American Valorant, it's just a lot of choking and misplay. Like, if you really know your stuff,
you guys
and you
just
look at
added
the
2
games,
players.
Yeah,
you guys just
totally
added Brock and John Cutie. You guys just got rid of Win, and then trying to get that working in like 9 days of practice, just like everybody else. It's not going to be that easy to find that consistency right away, and we keep talking about it even at the top level, the highest stage for Valorant right now. It's hard to find a consistency for certain teams to always be like at the very top. Yeah. I think right now, if I look back at 2021 and the Masters run and Champions run, the only real consistent team that I could probably think about off the top of my head is probably Gambit, right?
Yeah.
So winning one event, getting second place on at Champions, where they came up in the scene, there's that consistency there. But just for every other team, it's like a hit or miss on where they're going to stand.
Seriously, and look at the teams that are finding success in North America, the most consistent, maybe top 5-6 teams. Pretty much all of them except XSET are 4 to 5 seasoned Counter-Strike players who, you know, the roster made little changes. It's 4 to 5 CS players that have been playing Valorant together for at least 6 months. And you look at these tier 2 games and even tier 1 orgs with new teams, and it's not like the skill gap is closing because everybody's playing better Valorant. It's these are like drunken brawls of matches. I mean, it's really sloppy stuff going on. And you know, when it's my own team, I'm pulling my hair out watching it. But at least there's some solidarity in the fact that I think a lot of North America looks really scrappy right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this TSM matchup for you guys then. Obviously, you know, a big victory for you guys off the back of beating FaZe Clan, right? So you've handled 2 T1 orgs, not necessarily T1 teams or teams that are sort of still rebuilding, but you know, like you said, maybe a little bit scrappy at times. But let's talk about this TSM matchup. Like, how do you sort of feel things played out? It started off on Fracture, where you guys obviously start on the back foot. You lose a pistol here, and I guess you're able to find some defensive foothold, but the attack, so the offense round seems a little bit difficult for you guys after you sort of win the pistol and go pretty quiet after that.
Yeah. No, our Fracture has disappointed us a few times in a row now. And this is a funny one because we're really fired up from FaZe going into this, and I can hear my team's comms that everybody's kind of like shaky and nervous, but there's like a lot of excited, confident energy in it. And then I can kind of like see with the mistakes TSM's making too, they're like they had a quick clean 2-0 against another team at a long break coming into this. They have to play a fired up, nervous Ghost, and I think they looked kind of shaky and not warmed up either. You can just like watch the first 12 rounds, the first half, and it's just like 10 nervous players just kind of throwing their arms around, and then they seemed to get comfortable, and our crappy fracture showed up, so we just sort of puttered out.
You mentioned it before too. Sorry to add another question here, Mitch, but I think before we went into talking to, when we had you and Anders on the show, and we're asking about like what TSM was looking like, what chamber do we think they're pigeonholed into a certain role, and then you were saying like it's kind of surprising that they're not running this certain way, and is that like one of the weaknesses you saw playing against TSM and wanted to exploit that into the series that you played against them?
A little bit. I think that they're not the most fleshed out team right now. I do think Wardell is an insane opera, and I do think a really insane opera on chamber is really scary. So there's a couple things we did. Like I like our split a good bit, but they play a lot of split, and we'd be starting attack if we picked split. And I think it's like a chamber op can really steal a game on that map, and I could see that going bad. Like Wardell just turns into the Wardell show, and we lose a third map, and
he's still fucking amazing. That's the other thing too, man. This guy's a clutch master, dude.
And like Ascent is a map where we've played Sky and lost to KO recently, and just realized like even with 4 days, kind of like in the middle of tournaments between the Knights tournament and this open qualifier too, we just switched to KO because it just felt like such an advantage. And so I haven't been picking Ascent a ton, but I knew they didn't run KO, so I was like, all right, well, we'll just take what I think is a comp advantage and roll into that map 3. And I'm glad we did it. Like I think it showed.
What was it that enticed you to switch over to KO? I mean, what do you feel like you're gaining, I guess, here? Because Nismo, obviously, you have KO on Ascent, but Nismo also individually just has a really good map.
Yeah, I think like Sky, you can play this really like defaulty game. You could spread out, work different pieces of map control with the dog and birds on attack. KO, you can't do that as well, but you can just kind of like slam out of sights because you have that knife, that ult that kind of remove some abilities from the equation and then just dump out of the main choke points. I think it's pretty even, but I think Ascent's a really tough, you can just be a brick wall on defense, and I think he's just way better on defense. Like Sky doesn't do much of anything on defense. She can fight for map like you do on attack, but KO, you molly the choke, you throw a knife, and people were secretly grouped up ready to pop on the site, and like the round's just over. They're all there. They can't come out on you. Yeah, it's. I think the knife is a beast of an ability. One of the best in the game to me.
MCE's in chat telling you to tell the truth. You know what that is about?
We're also very inspired by all the teams running KO, crushing us in scrims and crushing people in matches, and may or may not have scrimmed them as a warm-up scrim. And Nismo's throwing this knife, and I get a whisper from MCE saying, "Oh, where did you get that knife from, huh?" Thanks, buddy.
That's great. This is called collaborating to raise the level of the region. Much needed, can I just say, at the moment. All right.
And that's the truth.
Fantastic. Obviously, Mitch, this is how he fucking contributes to these segments. Fucking hell. Obviously, look, great win for you guys, and you advanced further in the tournament. Can we talk about like a little bit of, well, look, we have to discuss this. I think you sort of mentioned it, that people are conflating tier 1 org, tier 1 team, and they're struggling to separate the two. It's not NA without some fucking nonsense after like an upset or an unexpected result. There's a bunch of tweets here, and I want to talk about a few of them and just maybe get your guys' takes on them here. This is Dominic. Hi, Dominic. Think he's kind of running some shit. He's what is he? He's taking a photo, GM. A screenshot of it. He's a GM. All right.
Yeah.
So I've never heard of this guy.
Yeah, so I looked at his profile. I think he just joined TSM like early of January, and then wanted to be part of like running the whole all the teams, I guess, at that point. Okay. And then seeing that he was also tweeting right there that you saw, like I fucking there you go, VP of Esports. So taking a grasp of everything, I guess, involved into all the teams, and it's like, fuck it, we want to win. We want to have like this. It almost gives me a feel of like a Jason Lake of like, well, I want to build a Colossus right now in Valorant, and let's get it fucking done.
Okay. So this is Mr. I guess this is his update, right? So I love this game and team, but we need to change some stuff, right? So GM is being given full agency to decide on who's talented, motivated, coachable, and overall the best fit for the team going forward. Who is deciding this in lieu of them? What was it, Chet? Like, what does this even mean?
I don't know. Well, Chet's not with them anymore, right? And then they just had like 2 new coaches in
sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
you have
that's
Apex
old news.
And somebody else here. But that came from the TSM Academy team that started coaching that. But yeah, I'm
Right.
assuming like a lot of these orgs or a lot of these teams in Valorant, originally as the game is still very new, then management could potentially be entrusting a lot into the team where everything is run by the team, right? But now that you look at what he's tweeting out, what he puts out as a message, what I do like is that he's trying to put a lot more into like a practice regimen. I'm hearing shit from like tweets coming out from like all the drama of like when you get into practice, sometimes some teams just don't give a damn. They just hold W. They go into ghost mode and then like break utility or whatnot, and then it just breaks the practice regimen. I'm not saying that this is on TSM. I'm just saying that in general it does happen, and I guess you could probably shine some light into that, Kaplan, into all the scrims that you're actually facing. Like, are you actually getting good value out of it right now off the teams that you're playing against or not? Oh, there you go.
Right, so
Ruby's
this
is the other one.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I've seen a Ruby's in the coach slot during sort of agent picks. So does this imply that authority is being taken from this gentleman and being handed to the GM?
I would assume so. I would assume
right.
so.
Shouldn't the coach decide who's coachable?
Yeah, as well. But it gets to a point where it's just like traditional sports too, though. You could have a coach that's going to be on the bench that's trying to coach your team, and he's not going to be that good enough, but it's still going to be management and business, Moneyball style, looking at the stats and be like, okay, well, we feel that these people would be good picks. Either it's your choice or not. We're gonna try to fit it into our system, and I feel like that's probably the direction we're trying to go with.
I love this.
the
Mike's in the chat saying, hopefully they start by showing up on time.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing. That's actually one of the paras right there, right? So like work ethic, expectations, setting practice. Again, not saying it's necessarily on the players themselves of what's really going on behind the scenes. But to have a team that really wants to win and to go with that, and again, taking practice seriously to be like, it's not because I'm getting a salary that I've made it. It's these orgs actually want to win trophies now. And then this is why I love the tier 2 scene, because they're the type of people, the type of teams are going to be like, money is being wasted for certain players, for certain teams, and we could show how we want it more. And then you see the practice ethics that they're bringing in, and these results are now showing, as we kept talking about the upsets in the tier 2 scene and everybody playing into Mickey Mouse tournaments, and it's paying off.
Okay, it is a Jason Lake tweet. At least,
yes.
At least he's not outright saying he's dropping players, but I mean, this is kind of what it looks like. I mean, it's fine. I just like, why can't people just shut the fuck up and do the thing? Like, why are these proclamations always so necessary?
Because you have everybody that's fucking tweeting and doing Reddit posts and all that shit, like just fucking pitchforking every single.
Why is it TSM's fault that fans don't understand that big brands doesn't equate to like a top team off the bat? Like when you're putting a roster together in a scene that's very frothy and like the competition is extremely like fever pitch.
Yeah, but that's why on the other end you're trying to calm down the fan base too, because you're getting all the heat as well. So you got to make some sort of statement so that they all calm down for a second, right? I feel it's almost at the point where you're looking at, what Carlos always does with G2, and then what the TSM are tweeting out during matches and like playing 6v5 and all that stuff, and everything's becoming memey. I love it. It's funny. But then some people are taking it too seriously at a point of being like, yo, these guys are not taking the game seriously and all that shit. And then they just start boiling up. So it's like a two-edged sword where you want to build content and fun with Twitter fingers and whatnot. But in the end, the fan base wants results out of that. And I think that's why they're at the breaking point to be like, you got to show us fucking something. So then this VP of esports probably has to put out a statement to try to calm everybody down to say, yo, Masters 2, it's ours. Just give us that time, please. And I think they deserve that time. I don't think the results should have been there right away. Like TSM, who did they bring in? They brought in Rossi. They brought in Aleko And then they're keeping their core, and they brought in Corey on top of that too. So on paper, this team looks very, very good. Look at FaZe. Who did they bring in? Flya, Larry Banks. Do we know about these players before? Probably not. But are they going to get some clout, or are they going to get some hate? Probably, because they're fucking FaZe. But you look at those players individually, they've played for the longest time against the other teams in the tier 2 scene where they're grinding that moment, right? Before they actually joined FaZe and TSM and T1, they were still playing in a Nursery Gamers Monthlies. They were still playing in like free agency orgs looking to get signed up as a team. Didn't work out. They get poached. They're trying into the new system. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. You have sports players that have so much talent, and as soon as they make it for example, the NHL, they fucking suck. It happens. Like, you have to try things out to see if it works within the system. This time, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but you're only fucking 2 weeks in to really figure that out.
What's
you have to give that time.
Expectation? Because, like, I mean, let's spell it out. Let's just spell it out. Why do the fans expect TSM to turn up and win this year straight off the bat?
Because it's TSM. They've won 5 Ignition Series or whatever in the last year. They have so much, like the expectation is already very high from people living in the past, right? Because you look past those 5 Ignition Series or those 4 Ignition Series that they won, what has TSM done since then? Zip, right? But you still have so much clout of those that know that TSM has what it takes to be back on top. Now, I have to admit as well that the lack of playing these tournaments, or the lack of us seeing the practice come into fruition, with the TSM deciding not to play into these second tournaments and trying to see if they could actually still qualify into the main qualifiers and not working out. I get it. I get the frustration of the fan base. But again, it's still a new team. If it's 5 months before and they weren't playing any tier 2 events and it's still that same roster trying to think that they could qualify now, I could understand that, because there's correlation now. Now it's a brand new team. You have to just start back, not necessarily from scratch, but to give them that chance to develop.
I think that's a good way to look at it. Like, even if the org has so much money, who can they go buy and get? You know, you can't go buy some insane Valorant player, because no team's gonna let go of their best Valorant player, because if they still have a team in Valorant, presumably they want to win. So why would they get rid of a good player?
Have
I think
you
the
heard
only
of
thing
heretics?
You know, the one thing,
I mean, they just lost VALORANTING, right? So
an incredibly wealthy org could go buy like an insane CS player and try to import them into Valorant. That's like one thing they can do that a smaller org can't. But unless you're going to do that,
player goes back to Counter-Strike.
Yeah, exactly. And I think TSM got good players given like who they could pick from, and I think they have a nice looking roster in terms of the 5 players. But those players aren't like, you know, like I think like Rossi and Lekka are great, but they're not like coming from like 6 years of like pro CS. They're not like these incredibly seasoned players. So I think they're better than a lot of the teams. Like individually, I think they stack up better than their individual opponent in the games they're losing. But some of those teams that are like upsetting in these qualifiers are similar kinds of players. You know, they're not like 25 with 3-4 years of pro CS experience. They're just young guys who have been grinding Valorant, and they're not new teams. They're not 1-month-old rebuilds. Like a crew grinded tournaments together all through November and December. And, you know, Soniqs has been like quite the core for a really long time. These kinds of teams are making smaller changes, so they're more cohesive as a team. And I think that it's hard. I get like, I think TSM's comments of we need to be playing in these smaller tournaments to build chem, get rid of match nerves, all that kind of stuff, whatever their reasoning is, and locating the players in one place, whether it's permanently or for a boot camp, are really good calls. Like look at what Guard did. I don't know if MC is still in the chat, but they, quite frankly, didn't look so hot at the start, and people were kind of iffy on the roster. And those guys went to LANs and shamelessly played every tournament they could, and they had some really rough results, and people picked on them for
still trialing players.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever they played with at LAN wasn't even the same roster they're playing with now.
And then they did like a month-long, I don't know how long it was, but an incredibly long boot camp for January in Texas together. I mean, by the end of that, you've had match experience. You're a really cohesive team. You just, it's an upper hand. You can put 5 new players online for 3 weeks together. That's basically, you know, we did a rebuild and we played online for 3 weeks before this open qualifier. And
makes me think about what happened in the past too. Remember when TSM were gonna have like a boot camp in when Bang, I think, was trying out for TSM still, and everybody was at the LA compound. Then suddenly, not everybody was playing from the LA compound. Only Subroza was.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on there either, right? So there was I guess in that sense, you could already see the fan base also thinking about, okay, what the hell is going on behind the scenes? But
Yeah.
I think we're being way too harsh right now on TSM.
Well, I will say, I think one of the scariest things is, are there going to be a good number of tournaments to play in the next 3 months? Because if not, teams that are losing to nerves, lack of match experience, lack of that team chem you get from matches, they just won't be able to have anything to play in before Open Quali 2. And then they'll be playing teams in, Stage 2 Open Qualifiers in May, where those guys, everyone that made it to main event, they had 5 weeks minimum of matches playing teams. And so I do think if there's not a bunch of third-party tournaments, we might see the gap grow because of, it's just, what are the teams that aren't in the top 12 going to do to get comfy in matches between now and then?
I think, FaZe obviously also failed to qualify, but I think a lot of the conversation looks fairly similar for that team, even though they've had an even bigger rebuild than TSM. I mean, it's just Baby Bay and that roster build around them. So I think we'll check on them in more detail once they're able to start to sort of string together some of these better results. Oh, shall we shift the conversation to some of these teams that are actually able to qualify? Because there were some really interesting inclusions among this list. And I want to start with one org that has honestly really taken their sweet time in getting their ducks in a row, so to speak. And that's Evil Geniuses, right? They start with like a fairly ambitious project to sort of form this sort of co-ed team. Then we sort of see, Potter getting moved into a head coaching position. Alexander, Temperature departing the team. Now this EG look with Dre, Fo, Jorg, Emo, I don't know how to pronounce that, God help me, Boostio and Reformed on this team. They go all the way, and they managed to qualify.
I asked him. I DM'd George Emo.
George Emo. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great name.
I DM'd yesterday. I was like, just in case I have to cast you, and whenever this comes, whenever I get a chance, how do I say your name? Is it Jogimo? Is it Jogimo? Or is it Jog Emo? It's like Jogimo.
There you go. All right. Let's talk about this match, though. Obviously, Split. This is the second map in the series. EG win this one out. This is against this Rise team, right? Who I mean, I think the first qualifier was rough for them. They look really, really out of sorts. They look a little bit better here, and we'll have a chance to discuss them because they do ultimately qualify. But let's talk about this EG team. Where does this success come from? Because we know these players like Fo, who've been on this team for a decent while. Bushio's like an ex-Overwatch player. Your boy Dre on this team now, playing a bit of everything. What is EG? Let's talk about it.
I guess I'd want to ask Kaplan first, right? Because if I think about Fo, I think you coached BBG Fo at some point, and he's the one IGLing for this team. So what can you tell us about this this core of like Boostio and Fo before they actually brought in everybody else?
Yeah, I haven't coached Fo, but I have played on a team with him. I teamed with him
with
really early,
yes.
and then I got dropped from that team right before they signed to BBG. Yeah, I love Fo. He's really, really smart, really kind of a lot of emotional energy, really funny guy. He didn't IGL when I played with him, but I know he IGLs now, and I can, he's a clever dude, and he's really quite outgoing. I think it's clearly a really good fit for him. I saw some of their Twitter clips of them popping off against us, and the energy was really high. And Boostio is just a beast. Like, what a competitor. I played on Space Station with him for 4 months, and he plays his way. He does it his own way, and sometimes I'm scratching my head, but then he kills 3 or 4 people, and I think, okay, well, that's Boostio. Obviously, Dre is a really good pickup. I'm actually surprised. I know they've been grinding for a while, but they, Dre and Jojimo are really new plugins, so I'm surprised how good they looked. Those were like they were late to the part. Everyone felt late. Teams figured out things really late into the December off season, and then start that first kind of January 5th to 10th ish is when a lot of teams like us started with our new teams, usually 2 to 3 new players, and they were going into January without all that figured out. And so I don't know. It's really impressive to me that
it's insane
as good as they did.
There's just so many shout outs to give throughout that whole roster, right? You saw that tweet before. You can't discredit the work that Potter, Christina has been putting into Evil Geniuses, right? So the whole co-ed project that started with EG, where the fan base would probably be like, this is never gonna work, or you know, Christine's the problem. Look at her. She's always bottom fragging as a killjoy. And look at her fucking now, man. Head coaching fucking evil geniuses making it to the VCT. So I think her retweet to Boostio is a perfect retweet that she actually used for everybody else that's been criticizing her for the longest time. But I think another player is definitely your boy Dre. I think we almost have a redemption arc with Dre too. Dre has been known to be just like a Raze player, just a smokes agent, and trying Jet with LG, and suddenly he's switching over to a Sova, and he's putting up numbers and helping out the team in terms of gathering the info needed to be able to win these qualifier tournaments to be able to make it forward. Reform, so I don't know, man. This guy, I know the scoreboard doesn't show much, but this guy's a fucking fragger, dude. I was watching the Winners Championship yesterday, and he entries like a mofo with the rest of EG. He gets multi-frags on entries as a Sentinel. And I just love that it adds more weight into EG being able to get into sites. The thing that's difficult, though, is, okay, nothing's watching flank at that point if you're playing Killjoy and you're moving into the site with your team. But I think just off the bat, how this team started, they kind of like flew under the radar. And then you're looking back on pair, it's like there's not really any like big all-star players in this team, but they're always players that have flashes in the pan, right? Boostio, your boy Dre, Reform now, and I think all of that together, plus with what Christine's putting together with the team, has been working out immensely well for this roster. So I'm super happy for EG.
So I was definitely blindsided by this Knights team, and I probably shouldn't have been, because they played in literally fucking everything that I have been able to see. They also have qualified, and this is a roster that, you know, this is where Gangster wound up. Barn, of course, after that short stint on TSM. Scuba, who we'd been keeping an eye on for quite a while as just a really sick player in general. And this team got up against like the 3 Aussies and the 2 Americans on Soniqs, and they end up qualifying here through this particular matchup. This is pretty sick. This is honestly a real coming of age for this team. And I mean, first map was competitive, but they fucking ruined Soniqs on Split. It was actually filthy.
Super filthy, actually. Even for Knights to start things off, they're another one that's kind of like under the radar. I was actually super happy to see Gangsta play with Knights, because he's always been like one of those. I know I'm going to use this a lot because it feels as though it's the fucking storyline for the tier 2 scene, but he's been under the radar as well as like a consistent Sova player for Immortals, and Immortals has been going through so many roster iterations and then doing super well in the beginning of 2020 and then not doing anything after because of so many players changing over. Like, I used to commend his Hunter's Fury, his Shuck Darts, remembering how he played, how he plays on Bind, and then he's able to join this roster with Knights, where Scuba was another one that was like on fire playing with, I think, KCP.
I thought it was on like Equinox or something like that. I remember we
possibly
sort of come across him. Yeah.
Possibly as well, but I remember seeing him in KCP, and then sad for KCP because they're getting players poached left and right for that team as well, and they're still doing quite well in the tournament. So props to Danny and everybody else that's just grinding through the meat grinder of all these qualifiers. But yeah, Scuba is definitely another one of those, oh shit, this guy just popped out of nowhere and is owning so far. Ben also had, I think, like a stint with LG, if I'm not mistaken. Frosty, very new, very, very young IGL, 16 years old, I think. 16 years old, and is able to lead something with Knights. And even Knights for the longest time was like, we're just gonna play in our normal, like they get automatic invites in their own tournament because it's the Pittsburgh Knights, and then they weren't doing anything with that either. And then, you know, they're finally doing something great against their run against Soniqs, who also, as you mentioned here, Adam, has been on top of the grind so far.
Yeah,
that split destruction.
Mm-hmm. That's a little bit different. I mean, I asked a question to B-Dog as well when LG qualified us to look at how Soniqs played, because Soniqs on every single map except for Bind, they play no duelist comps. And we remember the last time we had like conversations about no duelist comps. We kind of laughed about it, Mitch, man, with FPX. So I'll bring that question actually for both of you guys, because at some point I gotta fucking get Mitchman involved in this conversation, just like he didn't get me involved in a Game Changers conversation. But you look at the FPX roster, and we're kind of laughing about it because they weren't able to play any duelists, and that was kind of cap. right? Not Kaplan, but just a lie that it's never going to work out. But then
Well, Uber says
Adam,
that means shit, so it's okay.
yeah. so I want to ask you about that. What do you think about actually no duelist comp in Europe, and as to why it maybe wasn't as successful, as to why people think it's just a troll pick?
I think it's just so hard to push, man. That's what we've seen from every team. Getting into a site, if you don't have a duelist in Europe, we find it fucking hard to entry. Like, it doesn't seem to even matter if you've got god tier support in the form of Breach. And what we saw from exactly FPX was they just couldn't fucking move. Defensive side, it could be okay, but right now, I think there are very, very few people that can consistently match up to duels against duelists on lower tier. Like, if you're entering, I mean, I know you mentioned there you have a Sentinel entry on one of the teams consistently. You just don't see that in Europe. It's not how we play the game. We put duelists in first, dash through, open the space that way.
That's why you're losing this year.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, Vance, won't we? I mean, I heard you make a point about a team earlier that, like, yeah, they did things at the start, but then they haven't really done anything since. I think it was FaZe. Well, I mean, I remember North America winning an event. That was a long time ago, though. So, same kind of analogy, you know?
Okay, you know what? Forget it. So
you don't want to get me
continuing the question over. But actually continue on that topic, right? Because we're saying how entries is very difficult with no duelists or whatnot. But like I said, it feels as though, talking to B-Dog, there are some teams in North America that are using no duelists a little bit more, potentially even on Breeze, even, for example, with the changes right now. And without giving away any type of strategies or whatever you've been seeing in scrims, though, Adam, like what are you seeing? Like, are you actually seeing that as well in North America, that some teams are starting things out with no duelists in their practice regimen?
I have not seen it like as a growing trend. I have seen people like whip out an Astra on like Breeze and put it next to the Viper
Breeze, yeah.
and stuff like that. But I still see plenty of duelists. I still see plenty of Jet. I think there's insane Jet players in the region. I think Jet's still Jet. Nothing happened to her, so I think she's still amazing. And like,
tell Cloud9 that.
EU has historically run more like Breach. They have run more util heavy comps. I think that trying to run stuff like Soniqs is running in EU, maybe, I don't know. I think it's historically just a region more willing to experiment and not just like pick a meta and say this is it and this is what we're all going to play. And so maybe people are more used to it over there. Like, you're going into this big open qualifier, everything's on the line. You're a 3-week-old team, so you have like a lot of little reactions, adaptations, protocols to flesh out. Your freeze times and kind of flow of ideas probably a little messy because you made 2 or 3 changes. And then you play Soniqs running some weird stuff that you don't scrim ever, and it's like your first time playing against it as a team. And it's like it's just like this perfect cocktail to run in with weird comps. I'll be honest, like, do I love some of these comps on paper? No. Do I think, if they were in main event, like, would those comps look good 2 weeks in? No, I don't. I think people would adjust. I think people would get the gimmicks. I think a more well-rounded comp would end up punishing them because they wouldn't get caught out. But you go into a scrappy open qualifier, you're nervous, you haven't seen or played the comp before, and there, boom, suddenly you're losing a map, and you're like, what's happening?
Yeah. Okay, I see.
I actually think these comps would be a lot worse. Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going. Like, if the game was MR15, like, how many of these comps would just be way worse because teams would actually have time to adjust and string rounds together,
instead of economy masking like the weakness of a certain composition to some degree.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying Soniqs comp is horrible, but I think I would argue it's in the cheesy direction, some of the stuff they're doing.
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. It ages like cheese as well, because they have to go up against LG in the lower bracket. So we can keep. I guess we can talk about LG. Might be a nicer way to spin this, because this is a big win for an organization that spent a decent amount of last year rebuilding or sort of retooling. Right. I mean, thinking about a Proto and Dre party team who were like two of their, I don't know, more standout individuals. They still have, Moose has still been on this roster for like the longest time, right? Obviously, Dazzle having been on, certain other teams and moving over towards LG, unlucky. But, this team, has now made it into a challengers proper. They're sort of starting to regain that position they sort of had earlier last year at least, when they were really knocking on the door of tier 1 and being a serious threat to a ton of rosters. Very different meta, very different sort of looking team. But what is their success here sort of made of now as they managed to squeak it out in the lower bracket?
I think it's B-Dog and Mata overall. Like B-Dog has been pretty damn good with the operator. Like flashy, quick, and very important into like these rounds for LG. Mata is another one that as a superstar for Nbox was also able to help out put out numbers. I think it was actually very on this map where it's a 13-3 scoreline on the second map, and it looked very one-sided in this whole series, or at least looking at this map, the whole series is actually very, very competitive between these two teams. I think SQ played a very, very strong game, but Mana just played lights out. And then you have this Moose that has played as a Sova for a very long time with LG. When Dazzle came in, he took over that Sova role. He took over the IGL role too, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't really want to see Moose outside of a Silver role, because he was actually a really good item to that team. But Moose has been playing some Sentinels and some Vipers, and has actually had a lot of clutch situation for LG in this rounds where he's like on a 2v1 or a 3v1, and they managed to scrape through like victories. And even looking at this series, I think Soniqs did the same thing. Like Crunchy he didn't want to lose, man. Crunchy was like an amazing anchor Astra player in the series, especially on Breeze. And Bob, she was another one that also didn't want to lose, because she was basically what we praise Hiko for being, just being another clutch master in here. And it's just very heartbreaking. Like at this game for the third map of Bind, there was like a comeback game, I think for Soniqs at this point, where they almost had that lead at 11. Sorry, it was LG that came back and then wins it in the 13-11. Very heartbreaking, instead of seeing an overtime game. So that kind of sucks for Soniqs. It stings, but I think even then, that series could have gone to anybody. Even if LG is like a brand new roster, they're great. Are they going to do well during the season? They still have probably some things to hash out.
Yeah, sure. All right. I mean, I think that leads us on to the discussion of those teams that are like coming out of this sort of double elimination format, looking like a little shaky. The last team to qualify from this was Rise Nation, right?
Yeah.
They had a really bad open qualifier 1. People were wondering sort of what was sort of going on with this team. And obviously, they end up losing their upper bracket matchup to Evil Geniuses, but it's really close, right? This team looks like they're starting to sort of discover a little bit of that flair. And I mean, taking down Build by Gamers, I mean, not a small feat by any stretch of the imagination, gentlemen. Let's be clear about that,
Bro. BBG's fucking good, man.
Yeah.
I love BBG.
Let's talk about this team. Are our concerns about the shakiness of this roster kind of allayed a little bit, because we know that they, I guess coming into this year were sort of pretty well touted, especially with their LCQ showing and such. Where are we at on Rise, especially if we look at it in the context of like the closed qualifier and the rest of the other 11 teams that have to go up against?
Yeah. I'll let you start, Adam.
Yeah, I think they looked better and better as time went on. I think their comps are mostly pretty solid. I think like the chamber on Bind's like a bit awkward to me, but I'm touting a lot of this long-term tech FPS experience. They all got it. They all like know each other, like clearly on a personal level. It's a really tight-knit team. They didn't make any changes in the off season. I think they looked like they had to scrape some rust off, but they're one of the teams where I think they'll look better and better as main event goes on, even if they have to kind of follow suit with certain teams on comp stuff. I think their comps look really good, and yeah, I think they'll look better and better as the tourney goes on. I kind of feel like that about LG too. These are teams where like you see them throw a post plant from like a bad crossfire, like they don't swing off each other, right? And like none of them, you don't have to pull them aside as a coach and like explain why that was bad. They all just feel bad about it. They know they messed up and it had to have been nerves or something. And those kind of teams, like it's just way less energy you have to put toward that stuff. They work out kind of the match nerves. I'm not saying Rise had it or not. Whether they have the comps and meta figured out or not, they pick it up and they just play it really well. I think Rise will look good in main event.
Mm-hmm. I think the only changes that they did with that roster was actually with the coach, right? So you look at the open qualifier number 1 just before they started playing their qualifying games, like the day before. Unfortunately, Todd tweeted out like unlucky or whatever. So then you look at the agent comps when you're in agent selection during the open qualifiers. They were playing the 5 players, but nobody was in the coach slot. So I don't know if maybe during that first week they still wanted to keep the new coach, which still hasn't been announced, but it's been tweeted out now as a leak from the coach itself. But maybe they just didn't want to let people know that they were already playing with a new coach. So they were playing with 5, not really calling timeouts, or it looked very iffy where a timeout would have been needed for a coach to actually tell them, okay, we need to work on this. Because Rise on that first week, they were just fucking body peeking everything and just fucking dying. And it was just like Derek, the only one that was playing for that team. This time in this open qualifier, you actually see him now. It's actually Zek. So Zek, the coach that coached over to the TSM women's team, is now going to be the one coaching for Rise right now. And I don't necessarily want to give the full credit to Zek in itself for how dominant Rise looked into their the second open qualifier, but he was definitely a factor into the success of Rise going into here, because they started to not play scared. And Poise mentioned that in his interview, in the winner's interview, is like, I just had to start telling the team, like, this is not us. This is not us playing scared. This is not us like getting these mistakes and whatnot. And you saw how Shanks was like super aggressive, super fast, trying to get these open kills for Rise, and it was paying off. And these guys were just running it in on these trades that looked very good in the series overall for BBG. So that was the Rise that I saw during LCQ, which I really liked, and that I'm hoping to see in the main event.
So let's have a look now at all of our teams that are qualified for closed. Because I'm not going to ask you guys to make predictions, but I think it's worth maybe looking at what this is what the NA scene shakes out to be right now. Names like NRG, who are really struggling, and Luminosity really spent a lot of last year struggling to make their way into like what we would consider to be a top echelon. V1 having made a couple changes, the Guard being relatively new roster, XZ, who we kind of expected to be there, but they still had to prove themselves again. And, guys like EG and Knights making their way through. What are the biggest surprises to you guys now as we've looked back over both of those open qualifiers to see where we are now for the main event? Anything stand out to you as a defining moment, or made you sort of realize just how much this NA scene is changing or has changed?
The bottom left corner, EG and Knights, for sure. I think that's probably the biggest surprise going into this one too, where you're starting to make people believe in that as well. But when I look at every other team so far, with being able to witness how Energy were able to play since the VALORANTING tournament, the Guard, how MC has been doing very well with this team, and all the new blood and the young blood are working very well. I don't think it comes to a surprise. And for the veteran orgs, quote unquote, in this scene, such as Version 1 and XZ, I think it's just proven now that they've been working really, really hard, and it's showing. Cloud9, I think, is going to still be looking pretty good. I think our biggest question marks looking at that for the known organizations are Sentinels and 100 Thieves in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Kaplan?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like out of those top 4 there, I think out of the whole top 12, I think C9 and MV I expect to be the beasts of this top 12. I think Sentinels could easily end up in that pile. I'd be more skeptical toward 100 Thieves. But yeah, no, I agree. The bottom left looks like the scrappy corner. I think we could see him do well. I know I'm probably like beating this horse dead, but blur your eyes and think about the roster of those 12 teams. I see a lot of experienced North American Counter-Strike players on teams together here for the most part, like kind of all cut from the same cloth. I think V1 look really good. I think Guard look really, really good. And
there was
I think,
sorry, go continue.
I think I'm excited most to watch teams like Guard and XZ, because to me they are the 2 teams that are kind of breaking the mold of like, we're not just a pile of CS players, and I think they play Valorant really well. I think they play comps and agents really well. I think they look really scary. Pretty excited to see both of them and see how they kind of match up.
Yeah, and I think like even when you're because it's been leaked by George Geddes over at .esports on like what the groups are actually going to be. And if you look at the 4 teams on each side, there you go. So you look at Group A and Group B. We talk about scrappiness. We talk about how some teams are question marks and what's going to happen with like the performances of Sentinels and Envy at Champions. If that continues and you're seeing Energy Knights on the rise, then there's a lot of good upset potential in this Group B, where, yeah, you don't have the clout of the orgs, but look past that. Look at how these teams played. Look at the competition. There are possibilities that the Rise could upset Sentinels. The Knights could upset Sentinels. Things like that. And then you look at Group A, there's like 100 Thieves. Sorry, not 100 Thieves. Cloud9 and Xset probably are the guaranteed to move through. But then the bottom 2, who would make it through outside of groups, we wouldn't really know. I think that's up in the air as well, right? Between the Guard, LG, EG, and 100 Thieves. Who knows?
Can we have a look? I don't know if we have this prepped. Can we quickly flick over and talk EU for a moment? Because obviously their main event is about to kick off as well.
Finally, Mitchman gets to talk. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is something very relevant to Mitch's expertise, actually.
I should hope so.
Yeah. Oh, let's talk about it then. What are your expectations then for these first couple of days? Because I mean, Tom was saying that your first 2 days are going to be fucking insane.
Yeah, they're going to be absolutely nuts. So I'm pulling it up now to check if we have the order already up. We do. So, like, literally, Liquid versus Gambit is the first game I get to cast of like, you know, challengers this season. Especially G2 versus Fnatic right afterwards, which is cool. We're doing a tournament for Fnatic tomorrow, actually. They have a community tournament, so the finals of that are going to be tomorrow, and then, you know, a couple days later, we get to cast them again up against G2. FPX and big, super massive Blaze and Ascend. Those will be all right games. But, I mean, you're seeing the groups here on your screen, and you can. It is very clear. In Group B, we are nowhere near the kind of level when you look up to Group A. The teams are distributed in a way that I think a lot of people have had a problem with. Not necessarily when it comes to EMEA teams, or sorry, to EU teams, because we have like Gambit and Liquid Group A. Okay, pretty solid. Like both of them should be able to make it through. You get one upset in there as well. FPX haven't really been performing that well. Struggled through the CIS, so it is what it is. Group B, Fnatic, Ascend, Guild, G2, all in there. Super massive Blaze and BBL. So as we discussed last week and the week before and so on, we've got both Turkish teams in Group B, and we've got the CIS teams in Group A. So it's like these groups were drawn randomly. They feed into some pretty exciting matchups, but Group B's best matchup, I think, it's going to be one of G2, Fnatic, and Ascend, and we get G2, Fnatic off the bat coming out like to open the season. It's going to be absolutely unreal. The games do kind of like slow down. I'm looking through, as I said, SMB Ascend, Navi, London United, BBL Guild, but then like towards the end of the week again, they'll pick up. So things are going to look fantastic over here in the EMEA.
So in NA as well. So in NA. You know what's even better? The fans get to win. The fans get to win, man, because it starts on the same fucking day, which means every weekend we're going to wake up, if you're in NA, with some EU matches, and then after that, some NA matches. We got Valorant all day, baby.
No, you don't always have the dessert first, but I mean, look, the best way to eat.
I mean, it's the only first you're going to fucking get this season.
All right. Okay. Big words. Big words, man. I mean, listen, we're going to have a chat as Masters gets closer and closer. I don't know. Our heads
hopefully
in
shaved. Person. Hopefully
Who
in
knows?
person, Mitch. Hopefully in person.
Hopefully.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. All right,
we'll both have a bag of spice.
I'll bring you a bag of spice. And a chicken fillet roll.
Spice bag. It's a fucking spice bag.
Whatever
bro.
the fuck it is.
They do it at like some fast food joints in Australia. They just give you a bag of spices, and then you buy the chips. They put the chips in there. They grab the bag. They fucking shake it around. They give it to you, and then you go, Bob's your uncle.
Gorgeous.
Stick around for this, Kaplan. I want to talk about this. We have your update today. I think we have time. Let's talk about it because this is kind of kooky, if I may use the phrase. Well, I mean, we have the PC capture of it. Like, it was, I think it came out today. It was like a patch. Yeah. So Yoru looking a little bit different. This is like a Yoru part 2. So again, this is what Anna Donlan said they'd be doing, is trying to work on sort of existing age and balance and stuff like that. Big change. So fake out, obviously, which right now is just the footsteps. Now it's a full Yoru copy that runs forward. And when damage explodes and debuffs enemies. So it's like Phoenix ult with like a debuff element to it, I guess. Don't know how wide the range of that is. But it's like, as far as you're concerned, it looks like Yoru entering a site. So Riot have realized that players don't play off sound cues enough. They have to literally fucking recreate Yoru and throw him in. And again, I think you can tell it's not the real Yoru. It'll be a different client side kind of thing. But let's get our thoughts on that one. Phoenix is getting more and more cucked every fucking agent update, guys.
Come on, let's go. Sorry, I don't know. I just play games with voice lines all the time. I just fucking love seeing it. But yeah, Yoru, I'm excited for Yoru actually, and I want to go through the theory crafting. So go ahead, Adam. Start it off.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. You got pro level, you got a character that runs in a straight line, and I don't think it's gonna fake people out. I'm trying to conceptualize, so you shoot it and get flashed. Like, well, how do people use flashes in this
in
game,
your
guys?
direction? In your direction,
yeah.
right? So
In
like
the
for
direction of the
example,
guy that shot it,
yeah, exactly, as a cone.
It's like a wedge.
Yeah, you'll see it right here in this clip. So once the Yoru gets shot, then it'll turn it in your direction, and it's a cone that comes out like that.
Huh.
Yeah. And how do people use flashes, right? You pop them around a corner and then you swing around them. How are you going to end up capitalizing on the blind guy here? You like, if you successfully launch this decoy in and a pro player shoots it and is blind, they're going to get away, right? They're going to unpeak their angle. It's going to be gone. And then you're coming out to smokely. And I'm not seeing it. Like, are you going to just like run in
Fast
behind
enough.
this
Dude,
decoy? and...
easy lambs control, right? Do you still get two? Do you get two decoys or just the one? Did you do like
Probably
a Congo line?
I think
You're
still
in the
two.
middle.
I'm pretty sure you still get two.
I'll give everybody the tech right now. You see a Yoru run out of a smoke in a straight line and a jet run behind him. Just shoot the jet first, and then your problem is solved.
Listen.
It's
I want there to be
don't
some
know,
tech
man.
where Yoru can get ahead of his duplicate and run into the site. So everyone shoots
Well,
the
he could
second
activate,
duplicate,
right?
which is the fucking flash, and then Yoru just
What
shoots
if-
on
Yeah,
him.
there you go.
What if you throw two fake outs, so it's 3 Yorus running, and then it's almost like Mirage and Apex, and you don't know which one you want to fucking.
Yeah, you got to pick which one. There we go.
That's
There we
probably
go.
yeah. But no, okay. Jokes aside, though, I don't think it's that bad. Like, okay, so it looks kind of dumb because no matter where you shoot at, it's going to facing a direction. And I had the conversation just earlier today on Twitter because Def was started a post and a thread came under. I think it would be interesting to be able to use if it was friendly damage that could also activate it, right?
Oh, he's only got one.
Oh yeah, he's only got one from the video here. Okay, so he's lost one. But that said, so if for example you could do some friendly damage to activate the flash, of course you won't Congo line and fucking shoot it because you don't want to flash your own fucking teammates. Yeah, that's dumb. But if you actually were able to activate through friendly damage, right? So through friendly damage with utility as well. So if I'm going to throw my Yoru on a fake out, but I'm throwing a shock dart to break utility at the same time, then you flash and you actually break utility at the same time in that area.
Mode, fucking Yoru to get the flash and paint shell combo.
Yeah, man.
That's
Why the
ridiculous.
fuck not?
That is
Why the
Yeah,
fuck not?
that-
And I
yeah.
know somebody tweeted out at me as to be like, okay, well, if you're gonna play a Yoru and a Raze, then you need more help than just fucking Yoru tech and theory crafting that shit. But on Bind, it's doable. You don't necessarily need a jet on that fucking map, right? So, and then you have more flashes because you got 2 Yoru flashes plus a fake out flash plus initiator flashes while you exec. Also, his fucking ult is amazing. We didn't talk about his ult yet.
Yeah. Can we? I want to see if there should be text for this, right? Let's bring it up, Daniel. Because so the Yoru's ult. So he's no longer revealed to enemies during dimensional drift. I guess there's like a if you get close enough, they can see you, right?
Yeah.
You can use all utility while in this ultimate. Enemies can hear Yoru's footsteps when he's in dimensional drift. He's not nearsighted. He can see everything. And now his unequipped delay time is increased. So is that when he comes out of dimensional drift? Is that what we're...
So
People.
nearsighted is basically when you ult, there was actually a fog of war around you, right? And then
the
and then
unequipped delay time.
Yeah.
oh yes, that. So then it avoids like the shorty come out and fucking kill people, right? Because now nobody could hear you and nobody could see you when you're in the vicinity of your opponents. So that's actually pretty strong. And you could throw out
hang
all
on.
your...
You can go invis and flash people.
Yes.
Wait,
We'll see the video
wouldn't
right
that
here.
be- Wouldn't
He's
that be
throwing
the
his flash. He's
equip
throwing his
time?
gate crash. He could do everything right now.
Wouldn't it be the equip time though if it was coming out of it? Is the de-equip?
Right here, you see how slow it is.
Right. So it's the
okay.
it's
They've
the animation.
yeah. So they've lengthened the animation of coming out of the ultimate essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Can we get some thoughts on this? Because I don't like the idea of some fucking Yoru just coming up behind me, flashing me like on site for free.
I mean,
What was-
I didn't notice earlier when I was thinking about it that his footsteps are audible. It solves a lot of the problem of a guy like coming out, coming behind you, flashing you, and just knifing you. But so
what
yeah,
if you-
I think the footsteps is an interesting change. I think that's gonna alter a lot of how he's played, the ulti and stuff.
They didn't put it in the text there, but I'm pretty sure when you look at the clips, as well as definitely when you look at the like Yoru like test clips they showed like about a month ago or something when they first talked about his changes, you can see the ult has cost more now. It's not 6. I don't know if it's 7 or 8, but
It looks like 7 here.
it was
my
7
eyes
when they showed the
don't-
like test clips like a month ago.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it sounds like a sweet ult. I'm curious. So if you can't see him, does it also make like not make that weird sound? Like, can you just hold your shift key and just like walk around and they have no clue what's happening?
So apparently, you could still at least hear footsteps when he's running around,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
so you
I could also
walk-
alt
you
and
could
hold
walk
shift.
around.
I could
Yeah.
also fucking hold shift walk and also gate crash while I'm in my ult still, right? Which was already available. And while that happens, I could still throw flashes for the rest of my teammates when they're initiating inside the site. So what if I get an ult and then I throw the fake out and then I flash behind him and then shoot the fucking flash when the anti-flash after? Bro, there's so much shit you could do with Yoru. Yoru's gonna be picked.
It's
Yoru's gonna get
yeah.
picked.
I think he's gonna be horrible. Because it's easy to come up with like fun situations where these abilities would be good, but the truth is like a lot of duelists are good. Like Jet's insane because she gets value no matter what. Like no matter what situation you're in, updraft, smoke, stash, they're all gonna do something. They do a lot of different things. Even Raze, Nade's like always a useful ability. Roomba's really straightforward. Satchel can destroy utility. You can use it to get in, to get out, to like a lot of duelists. Any situation they're in, you're finding value with your abilities. Yeah, I could theory craft some crazy situations and set plays with this Yoru stuff, but you're just in a messy 2v2 post plant. Oh, hang on, I'm going to throw my decoy out, and he'll just shoot it and trust that, like, because, we have a crossfire in this 2v1, but yeah, he's definitely going to shoot me as I just run around it. Like, I don't really see... I think there's cool stuff his abilities can do, but I think there's going to be a lot of tight, scrappy situations in Valorant where he's just going to be a dude without any buttons because they're too awkward to use.
I know it's too early, but is the fake out on the other end for the enemies still looks like a regular Yoru?
Yeah,
it does,
correct.
right?
Yeah.
That's actually not bad. Because
It'd be cool if
Anders
you could
tweeted
have
out
it like
before-
strafe out. If you could have it like, just to like, if you could like fake a
It's
wide
like an
swing,
owl drone, just fucking control him.
Well, no, or just say like maybe you hold D and press the button and then it's like a fake wide swing. Like that would actually be so cool because what do you do when you see people swing on you? You have to shoot.
What if you could trailblazer him like Sky?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, but
if you could fake a peek, that'd be cool. But like faking running in a straight line just is, I don't know. If I saw one of my players genuinely move, like his fake is moving, I would be scolding them and thinking, "How did you get here?"
What if I'm Viper walling? What if I'm Viper walling in a cross? Everybody's running in a line anyways. What if I'm fast laning with a neon and I'm running in that lane? People are running straight anyways. So there's still possibilities. It sounds stupid on paper.
If you're running neon, you have a bigger problem in the first place. Which is that you're running neon. But
I mean, a crew did not bad.
That's true.
Fracture,
yeah, she looks sweet on Fracture.
I did see some more. I did see some more neon during the open qualifiers. Was it against TSM when it was they were playing Haven? That was a little bit cap. But overall, I still think that it looks stupid on paper right now, but I think it's still, something could work out. I want to see what the coaches, what you guys are going to be cooking up, and see if there's anything that's going to come out as like a one-shot pick.
We tried cooking some neon stuff up for one map, and we ran it for a couple days, and then we said,
give it up.
Nah, I don't want to get embarrassed.
but Anders also tweeted out a good one too. It's like people were laughing about just like how Sheko with his which is the one that looks like a Joker, like a clown in League of Legends.
Yeah.
Where he's able to place like a shadow clone and people are still shooting it, right? despite being at the pro level, being like, well, we're gonna know which one's which, and then suddenly he's still getting shut out, and people are still getting dazed by it. So I think in the heat of a moment of a full execution, there's a possibility that these mistakes could happen.
Yeah, there will be some sweet like ranked clips with it, no doubt about that.
Agreed.
All right.
Pens is back, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Vans, you were obviously high on the KO train. So if you have some hope, there might be something here. But
Yeah.
I'm curious to see more of these sort of agent
More than
rebalances.
Neon, less than others, I would say. I think he could be a good one-off. I think he'd be a good one-off.
I think that's fair.
All right. Before we end the show, I want to remind everybody about what we do on Wednesdays here on Do Not Peek, is that we have the breakdown, which is, well, I mean, listen, this is just variations on the same thing of people stupid enough to put a mic in front of me and pay me to fucking just scream obscenities into it. But I'm there with Sir Scoots Wednesdays, 12 p.m. Pacific. We'll be talking about the esports scene more broadly. We're actually having Hector from Optic, or previously
Nice.
Optic, now of Pine Park, on the show. So that's going to be a fun interview. We missed out on having him last week, but yeah, this is where we kind of just, talk about some of the larger moves that are happening in the industry. Obviously, Scott's got years and years and years of esports industry to rely on, and I have a really loud voice, so it's a good combo. 12 p.m. Pacific Wednesdays, twitch.tv/DNP is right here, DNP on this channel. Now, Kaplan, thanks for joining us, mate. Obviously, great to pick your brain a little bit about what went down into the open qualifiers. And again, obviously commiserations to your team. They put up a great run, though.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. You guys ever need a shit human for something? I'm a Twitter DM away.
Fucking dead. Oh, God, I'm never going to. God damn it. All right, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday, of course. The rest of you shit humans better turn up in the chat, because we obviously want to talk about all of the VCT that's happening over the weekend. It's finally here. VCT Challengers is kicking off, and we're going to be here next week to recap what we've seen so far. Till then, everybody, see you later. I'll catch you on Valoranting next week.